This is KSL News Radio,
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour, Provo High School is currently under lockdown. Officials with the school district confirmed to KSL. Officers are on scene investigating, and we are currently waiting for an update. In a matter of hours, Box Elder County leaders are expected to vote on whether a massive proposed AI data center project will move forward. The project is backed by Shark Tank investor Kevin O'Leary, and it's getting a lot of pushback from the public over water use and environmental concerns. Project organizers have pledged to protect the environment and limit their water use. Today's meeting is scheduled to start at 4 o'clock, with the vote happening afterwards. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. All eyes are on the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. says it has begun guiding ships through the strait, hoping to send a message to Tehran and provide some reassurance to stranded vessels. ABC's Tom Soufi-Burridge is in Tel Aviv with more on this decision.
For shipping companies throughout this war, part of the reason they have not transited through that waterway is because of the perceived threat. And, shipping companies, insurance companies linked to them have said repeatedly that they will not make that voyage, many commercial ships, until they have absolutely cast iron guarantees, until that perceived danger is down markedly.
New polling shows Americans are really beginning to feel the impacts of the war with Iran. Got some breaking news on KSL News Radio. The U.S. Supreme Court has restored access to the abortion pill, blocking a ruling that had threatened to stop allowing it to be mailed to Americans. We'll continue to update this story as it develops. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 197 points to 49,302. Coming up, weather's looking pretty decent for the week, although we might get a chance of rain today and tomorrow. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Warmer weather is finally here, and that means cookouts,
ball games,
and maybe enjoying some time on the water.
But it also means lots of heavy food, sweets, and maybe an extra adult beverage or two. Thank goodness we both take Active Liver from New Nordic. Did you know your liver works around the clock, processing food, sugar, alcohol, and everyday toxins, all the things that can really impact your health?
That's why daily support matters. Active Liver is designed to protect normal liver function and support your body's natural detox process.
With trusted natural ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and artichoke extract, it's gentle enough to take all year long.
No harsh cleanses, no extreme detoxes, just simple daily liver support. We really feel the difference.
Active Liver helps us enjoy the good things in life with peace of mind that our liver isn't working overtime. Active Liver is available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com, and you can find it in stores at CVS, Meijer Grocery, Wegmans, and now Active Liver is available at your local GNC.
You may not think about Great Salt Lake, but it's affecting your life every day. It brings lake effect snow and epic powder days. It supports thousands of jobs that keep Utah thriving. It provides a haven for millions of birds. And it keeps our air cleaner and our summers cooler. It also could affect your home's value, your kids' asthma, your morning run, your powder days, your future. Without a healthy lake, we face toxic dust storms full of mercury and arsenic, along with higher health costs, fewer jobs, and lower home values. This isn't just an environmental issue. It's personal. The lake affects you. Now, it's your turn to affect the lake, because our lives depend on our lake. Act now at growgsl.org.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Here's Cormac Bone.
Got some leftover I-15 delays. This is both directions at 13th South, just a touch of slowdowns there. Otherwise, I-15 looking really good through Utah, Davis, and Weaver counties. We do have some southbound Legacy Highway delays. These are residual after a crash cleared off the road. It's from 5th South down toward I-215's west belt. And South 15 just a little slow around Warm Springs Road. Arctic Spas, hot tubs, and swim spas with stores in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Perimeter heat lock installation with free heat. The only spa built for Utah's harsh climate. ArcticSpasUtah.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today is going to be partly sunny with some scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon. Highs in the mid-70s tonight. And then the rain will get more intense with isolated showers and thunderstorms tomorrow. Kind of a similar forecast, though the rain seems a little bit more likely tomorrow than today. Right now, 64 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So the U.S. Supreme Court this morning just restored, but temporarily, broad access to the pill mifepristone used for abortions and telehealth, blocking a ruling that was just made last week, Greg.
Yeah, so a federal appeals court had imposed that restriction last week. The Supreme Court only made a temporary ruling, and they've said, look, we're going to put that ruling on hold. The drug is still available, but they sent it back to the lower court, and they're having each side do some briefing in very short order. I mean, this is going to move on a pretty fast track.
Well, it sounds really fast, and to me, this is so this medication, misoprostol, is a second medication, but mifepristone is one used. People can get it through the mail, and people who are doing elective abortions can take these pills. So most abortions are happening really early in the pregnancy, and that's what these are for, is really early. It's not for later in the pregnancy. But what's like my question to you as the legal expert is, how often do you get a U.S. Supreme Court issuing even a temporary ruling so quickly? I mean, this is days.
Yeah, I think it's because of the significance of the lower court's ruling that it puts this really broadly used drug on hold, and I think the Supreme Court is saying time out, we're not going to do that. I know I haven't answered your question, but it's fairly rare, but in this instance it makes sense because it's such a big ticket item. It's such an important consideration. Yeah,
that it's interesting. And so what do you anticipate that within a week that both sides could argue in front of the appeals court? What do you think they can do in a week?
Well, I think they've already done it. I think the appeals court entered its ruling because, I mean, I'm sure the briefing is done for the most part, but the Supreme Court just said, look, we're just going to put this on hold for a week. You guys get your information together, go to the appeals court again and see what they're willing to do. So the appeals court just put it on hold, that you cannot make this drug so readily available, really, in the mail, I think it was.
Yeah, they're using telehealth and mailing it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it wasn't to outlaw the drug, but it was just to restrict that really liberal access. The Supreme Court said no. Well,
it's access in Republican-led states, right? That's why.
Right,
yeah.
Yeah. And the Supreme Court said no, you can't. We're not going to allow that. Let's send it back to the lower court for further consideration.
All right. Well, we're going to keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So look, we're going to switch to Box Elder County. So Governor Cox is praising a proposed 40,000-acre data center in Box Elder County. But my question is this: if it's so good, why was it kept under wraps for so long? Because we know county commissioners only found out about it a week or two before the original vote was scheduled. And why is the process moving so dang fast? We're going to go on a deep dive on this project ahead of a big meeting this afternoon.
Yeah. So we talked about this. This has moved fast even by our standards.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we talked about this last week. They were about an hour or two away from the county commission having a meeting. They had the meeting, and all heck broke.
And they put it on
Right.
hold. They put it on hold. So, look, there's a bunch of questions here. So, this afternoon at 4:00, there's a meeting. It's a big one, right? They're holding it, and they expect to have a lot of people attend. They are holding it at the Box Elder County Fairgrounds. That's how many people they expect to turn out.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be big. KSL TV's Mike Anderson spoke exclusively with the CEO and co-founder of O'Leary Digital. This is Paul Pollingen, who to get his reaction to the concern and some complaints from the community members. Let's hear that.
Well, we've heard from scientists this week concerned about all kinds of issues like water use, pollution, and heat, and commissioners will face a tough decision here come Monday. But the folks at O'Leary Digital say they want to work with the community and the environment. The developers behind the massive Stratos project say they want to be a benefit to the area.
Kevin O'Leary was an environmental studies major. Our chairman, as a core value of our organization, is to do everything in the most clean and sustainable way possible.
Paul Pollingen says with the power plant, they're aiming for 1/20th the emissions of similar plants that use gas, seeking a solution to produce power without using any water. He says the data center will use a very small amount of water in its closed-loop system, different from the older data centers.
This misnomer that data centers are dirty is just simply not true. It's a myth because the big tech companies have very high standards for everything from air quality, noise emissions and quality, and so forth.
The Box Elder County Commission would retain a seat at the planning table, and the county will receive energy tax revenues.
There's another myth that these are just big, ugly, monolithic eyesores. One of our core values is to create something that's aesthetically pleasing, uses clean and sustainable materials.
Still, for some people, anything spanning 40,000 acres out here is going to be a problem.
But what you need to understand is we're also already master planning it to preserve hunting sanctuaries. We've got lease-back agreements with ranchers for continued grazing operations.
And that commission meeting will be here Monday at 4 at the fairgrounds. We are hearing that there have been some threats against people's families. The county says that they are working to make it a safe, respectful, and civil meeting for all who attend. Mike Anderson, KSL 5 News.
This is really a monstrous project. 40,000 acres. It's going to consume more power than the rest of the state. Than the entire
consume
rest
and
of this.
produce. It's
right,
yeah,
and produce, but they're producing it by way of natural gas, which is caused huge concerns over the environment because the carbon footprint that they're going to create during this is going to be monstrous. And you would think that they could do other things, or they would at least consider other things. But I mean, again, maybe the access to that natural gas in that particular area, I've heard, is pretty readily available. So they may think that it's the cheapest, easiest way to do it.
I think one of the things for me, again, is why, if this is so amazing, why did they keep it under wraps, even from the county commissioners until right before? Like, why spring them on them at the very end? This surprises me. We know that the Shark Tank guy was on social media bragging about how fast Utah was pushing this through in just a matter of months, but he knew about it. But I think some of the key decision makers didn't know about it. And I think the question, and we're going to continue this conversation in the next segment, but I think one of the questions is this a national security thing, and this is key to national security, or is this an environmental threat? Is it both? Is it neither? Those are some of the questions that people are asking. And then, of course, you have a huge outcry from a lot of people across the state, but I think in Box Elder County specifically, talking about water, talking about heat and heat islands, talking about the size, talking about, like, what is this actually going to do and what's it going to look like? I've seen our friend Darren Perry, who was with the Shoshone tribe, talk about how this is going to really mar the visual impact of the vistas up there. And I mean, I don't know that I disagree with him.
Yeah, our governor weighed in on it too over the weekend, and I was really surprised at some of his remarks. He was quite critical of people that were standing in the way of it, and said this is a great project. And he made some pretty poignant remarks that we'll talk about after this.
This is Dylan Gunther of the Utah Mammoth, and I drive a BMW. Performance matters to me, on the ice and on the road. That confidence lets me focus on what matters most, performance. That's why I trust BMW Utah for everything, from service to tires. They've always got my back. Between scoring goals and scoring the perfect ride, it's a tough call, but scoring is what I do. And the win? Driving a BMW from BMW Utah. When I came to Utah, everyone talked about the greatest snow on earth. But during the 2002 Olympics, the world saw something else. This place also has the best ice on earth. Since moving here, I've done my best to own that ice and live up to that standard. It's about preparation, precision, and trusting what's beneath you every single day. That same mindset is why I chose BMW Utah, because great performance doesn't happen by accident. It's built, maintained, and earned. And I'm proud to work with a local dealer that represents Utah at that same elite level. Proud to be a Utahn, proud to support BMW Utah. Drive elevated.
For hearts that love. For hearts that care. For hearts that comfort. For hearts that heal. We care for them all. At Common Spirit Health, we know that each patient is unique. That's why our cardiology team is committed to caring for every kind of heart. Find heart care near you at mountain.commonspirit.org.
Hi, I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. When the IRS invades your life, it's never good news. Keep in mind, it's not just you.
I owed roughly $34,000.
$61,000. When the IRS first contacted me, I was horrified.
When they start hounding you and harassing you and assaulting you.
Don't face the IRS alone. With everything in your life at stake, don't trust just anyone.
From what I got told was being done in a matter of 2 years, he had done in a matter of like 48 hours.
It's a great thing to have the IRS off your back.
We have reduced our tax liability by over $42,000.
Once I signed on with Jordan, I never talked to the IRS again.
It changed our lives.
You need someone to fight for you. Visit endtaxworry.com and get relief today. Let's solve your tax problems now. Visit endtaxworry.com. That's endtaxworry.com.
It's spring. You get outside and it's obvious your house needs painting. Make an appointment with CertaPro Painters. They'll give you a free estimate quickly and at the right price. And they make the entire process easy with reliable updates and communication. They know how important your home is to you. True professionals, they're committed to quality and exceptional service at the right price. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated, so schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Join us at Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, our biggest trade event of the year, May 14th through the 17th. Trade in your RV and get the highest value guaranteed. Then upgrade for less with new RVs starting as low as $94 a month. Plus, take 25% off select maintenance services. Save up to 40% on camp-ready must-haves. And enter to win a new RV. Don't miss the Red, White, and New Trade event at your local Camping World, May 14th through the 17th. We'll see you there.
Does your mom dream of asphalt? Maybe not. She does dream of things done right. Whether you park it, stripe it, or pave it, GoPave's got your blacktop covered. Visit GoPaveUtah.com.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a gripping new podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of, Warren Forrest.
If he had dumped two, you would have thought maybe there's another one.
But now a witness, identified in the podcast, could lead investigators to Jamie Grissom. Binge Stolen Voices of Dole Valley wherever you get your podcasts and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the latest breaking news in the case.
Inside Sources.
Well, there's been quite a bit of controversy about this Box Elder County data center that we talked about in the first segment. We want to follow up on that a little bit. And I was surprised, Holly, maybe you felt the same way, about our own governor's support of it, and in fact that he was seemingly critical of those that were opposing it.
I'm not surprised at his support of it. This is, I think, part of the whole Operation Gigawatt, right, to bring more energy and energy production to the state. But what I was surprised at is, again, I said it in the last segment, I'm surprised with the speed that this is moving forward, especially without, it seems like, public input, which they're sure getting now. But the governor says these data centers are vital for our national security.
There is a national security piece to this that has to be acknowledged. The rate at which machine learning and artificial intelligence is changing, the dangers that poses, and what happens if an adversarial nation gets ahead of us in this space is something that we should all be worried about. And so we have an obligation. I think every state has an obligation when it comes to this space to allow for these types of data centers to be built in their states. We have to do this. We can't just say no and shut the doors and go home and let China win this technology race. So that just can't be an option.
Interesting argument that he makes, national security, and essentially saying we can't let other countries, especially China, get ahead of us on this. And so it's, I mean, he's pushing this really hard. I mean, he's saying things that, like, yeah. I almost being sort of critical of those that are standing in the way of it.
You know, I think one of the things to point out, right, is while a lot of people were not aware that this was going on, definitely some people were, and I think the governor probably was. But, you know, he had a comment about the reports that people are saying that data centers are bad for water. They are heavy water consumers. They create heat islands. They're bad for the environment. He says they're wrong.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of really bad information out there about data centers. People are operating off of models and technologies that have changed drastically over the past few years, especially when it comes to water usage. That's one where the numbers are just wrong. There was also a report about warming around data centers that was also deeply flawed, and immediately found out that it's deeply flawed. But everybody just believes it now that data centers use all the water and destroy everything around them, and that's just not true. And so we're going to have these in our country, and we're going to have some of these in our state. And so the question is, again, where do we put them, and how do we do this in the best way? This is a location where they have water available. It's not taking additional water away from the Great Salt Lake. It's taking water that would be used for other things and using it for a different purpose now. And we have air quality standards that we have to abide by, that they have to abide by.
I mean, the air quality issue is huge all by itself because of what this is doing. Because it's coming from natural gas, and there is some access to that in that area, but they're having their own power plant. It's going to be monstrous, and I guess there's enough gas going through the lines there that they come off that. But some of the projections have been that the energy that's coming out of this is double what the state's consuming right now,
and that's incredibly high, right? So look, I want to point to a study from Cornell University. So the governor said that the heat island is that the studies found that that's false. Cornell does not agree with the governor, and this is a study that they just published in March, and they call it the Data Heat Island Effect, quantifying the impact of AI data centers in a warming world. And they said, look, we wanted to go measure this, and they said that what they're finding is that the land surface temperature increases by 2 degrees Celsius on average after the start of operations of an AI data center, including local microclimate zones, which they call the heat island effect. So I think there may be conflicting reports, but Cornell University found that there was an impact on the heat for sure.
Yeah, with respect to the power, the governor did say that the center will have to bring its own power.
And here's where Utah is really shining. We did something different than other states, and that is we said we're not going to allow these data centers to take all of our power, which will significantly increase the power consumption and the power rates for the people of our state. We're not going to allow that to happen. Again, this is the bad information that keeps getting put out there. So these companies, if and when they decide to build, they're going to have to build their own power supplies. And ultimately, that's good for our state because they're going to put power back on the grid, which will help us keep our power rates lower than anywhere else in the country.
Boy, he's working this
Our
hard.
power rates are actually higher than a lot of other places, so surprisingly. One of the things is part of this conversation. It's fast moving for now. Like they expect to take a final vote this afternoon after the meeting that begins at 4. I expect that it will go several hours actually, but what surprised me a lot was the governor speaking out against people who were opposed to these kind of projects.
We've let the people against virtually everything destroy our country, destroy our industrial base, destroy our mining base, destroy our housing base, because we can't build anything in this country anymore. And those days are over. We're done with that. We take feedback. We understand what people want. We say no to many, many things because there is good feedback, but we can't say no to everything.
My very first thought is, Governor Cox, how is this disagreeing better?
Yeah,
I don't like this.
This
doesn't match, right? When you say we can disagree on policy and we can disagree vigorously, but that doesn't go to saying that these people are destroying our country. I don't think that's fair to people who have concerns.
Yeah, we did reach out to one of the Box Elder County commissioners, and he indicated that they're up to their ears today, which was kind. We may get somebody on that tomorrow, depending on what they do.
Yeah.
But they're expected to vote on it. They're having a special meeting today at 4. It's actually, like you said, it's going to be held at the Box Elder County Fairgrounds to accommodate the large crowds. A county spokesperson would not confirm or deny reports that threats on county officials, but did say, quote, "As the county prepares for Monday's meeting, we are implementing all necessary precautions to ensure a safe, respectful, and civil meeting for all participants who attend." That tells me that there's a lot of angst against this, that there are a lot of people who are very upset about it.
So we heard in the last segment a little soundbite from KSL TV just saying at the first meeting that we had talked about on our show, they did not allow public input, but the room was packed and a lot of people were carrying signs that they could hold up and they're basically opposed to it, right? Like, where was the notice? I will say this. So private land was purchased by the organization that's going to do this big project. So private landowners are like, yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with selling my land. The Utah Military Installation Development Authority, which is MEDA, they have given approvals also. And it's one where it's like, oh, I didn't even know that organization existed. But they approved numerous resolutions, but only on the 24th of April. And so now we're up to the Box Elder County Commission where they've got to give final approval. I'm not a gambling woman, but if I were, I would say they probably will approve it.
Today, and which, it is on a record pace. I mean, and you have to, the cynic in me makes me feel like maybe that was intentional, but the people have just barely been able to gather around it. And literally the county commission could have approved it last week and we'd all be going, what just happened?
Yeah.
What just blew through here? And the governor's clearly upset at the opposition to this, but seemingly not willing to even take a step back and say, hey, let's have some public hearings on this, maybe more than just one today at the fairgrounds. The people at Box Elder County and the state of Utah have every reason to be concerned about this. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. It may end up being a great idea for the state of Utah, but the footprint is huge. The environmental concern is huge. The money is big, and I think that we just need to step back and look at this very closely and just consider all the factors. It's a beautiful part of the state. It's unincorporated Box Elder County. It's a big sort of deserty area. But it's a beautiful part of Box Elder County that people don't access that much. I think it's some public and private land that makes up this 40,000 acres. I don't know why they need such a big footprint for
because it's supposed to be a hyperscaler. So it's for the huge data companies. There's only 5 in the world. So let me just say one thing about this, the speed with which this is going. On the other side of the equation, I think it's also true to say the federal government has put so many barriers in place sometimes to development that it is ridiculously long, right? And so I still think there needs to be a happy medium, but that can be the argument on the other side as well.
Yeah, and I think that's what the governor was trying to say is, wait a minute, we're just stopping everything now. Well, when we come back on Inside Sources, Spirit Airlines, the low-cost airline, didn't fly here in Utah toward the end of their run, but they were famous for their cheaper ticket prices, and they are gone. Bye-bye Spirit Airlines. But we are going to talk about what effect they did have on ticket prices in the industry and the impact it could have on your next vacation when we come back.
It's 9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Starting today, Pioneer Crossing has 3 lanes wide for both directions. UDOT's hoping that will reduce the travel time between Lehigh and Saratoga Springs. By the end of this year, those extra lanes will become flex lanes, meaning they can change which direction the lane goes in with some traffic lights. It's expected to cut about 6 minutes of travel time. A Harriman woman was arrested after going over 100 miles per hour while drunk. It was early Saturday morning on southbound I-15 near Lehigh. Police say she shot up to 119 miles per hour. She's now facing multiple charges. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The fallout continues after Spirit Airlines' sudden closure over the weekend. Thousands of passengers are stuck rebooking their travel plans.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said over the weekend the airline was, quote, bleeding money. The Spirit collapse means more than 1,300 crew members are coming home and 17,000 Spirit Airlines employees are out of work. Spirit says most stranded passengers have made it home with other carriers like American, Delta, United, JetBlue, and Southwest, which all offered rescue fares that were capped around $200 to $300 with proof of a Spirit booking.
ABC News chief business correspondent Rebecca Jarvis reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 384 points to 49,114. Coming up, we've got a couple of crashes on ramps still affecting drivers. Plus, we get a check of weather. Traffic and weather together next. KSL News Time, 9:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. And let's face it, it's time to update the look of your home's exterior. When was that thing built? In the 50s, 70s, 90s, the 2000s? Well, it's looking like it. Faded siding, drafty windows, leaky gutters. It's time to take action now. RGS Exteriors has been taking Utah homes from drab to fab for over 5 generations. We only use the highest quality materials like James Hardy siding and gutter topper gutter covers. You will be blown away by how much different and better and awesome your house can look. Your neighbors will be jealous, your home value will go up, and most of all, you're going to love it. Everything we do comes with our industry-leading 10-year everything guarantee, so you can sleep like a baby, knowing if anything goes wrong, you're 100% covered. For a free estimate on your gutters, windows, siding, or anything on your outside of your home, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsexteriorsutah.com. That's rgsexteriorsutah.com.
I was in foot pain for 20 years, trying to give it relief, buying all these different insoles. Drugstore insoles, custom insoles. I spent thousands of dollars. I bought all these products, and not a single one worked. I really, truly needed to have relief in my feet. And the Good Feet arch supports were what gave me the relief I needed.
For over 20 years, we've been helping people like Teresa actually live the life they love without their feet getting in the way.
They wanted to make sure that I got something that my feet felt good in, not somebody else's feet. I love the fact that I can wear these arch supports in all my shoes. I have boots, I have cowboy boots, I have running shoes, I have walking shoes, I have flat shoes, I have heels. It makes me so happy. If you ask my husband, he will crack up because there is no store I would rather go in than a shoe store. I'm Teresa, and that's my Good Feet story.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Join us at Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, our biggest trade event of the year, May 14th through the 17th. Trade in your RV and get the highest value guaranteed. Then upgrade for less with new RVs starting as low as $94 a month. Plus, take 25% off select maintenance services. Save up to 40% on camp-ready must-haves. And enter to win a new RV. Don't miss the Red, White, and New Trade event at your local Camping World, May 14th through the 17th. We'll see you there.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto-pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Here's Cormac Bone.
No delays on I-15 all across the Wasatch Front, but we do have a couple of issues getting on and off the freeway. The first is in Draper. It's at the on-ramp to northbound I-15 at 123rd South. They are blocking that right lane, so you want to be careful as you get onto the freeway in Draper. And getting off of the freeway in Midvale at 7200 South from southbound I-15, there's a crash there on that off-ramp as well, and they are in the right shoulders, causing some light delays getting off the freeway. But again, if you're on main flow I-15, you shouldn't see any delays. Thirsty for better water? Culligan has you covered, from softeners and filtration to bottle-free coolers and bottled water delivery. Trusted local experts makes water taste amazing. Visit CulliganSLC.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, clouds should continue to increase today, giving us a chance of rain this evening. And then tomorrow, about a 50% chance as it stays cloudy most of the day. But the temperatures won't drop too much. Today, we're looking for a high of 74. Tomorrow, 69. Wednesday, 66. Right now, it's 66 in Salt Lake City. From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, I'm Andy Farnsworth. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, the on-again, off-again saga of Spirit Airlines is that they are now off. We had heard back and forth that they were going to try to survive, that they couldn't survive. They're now blaming, Holly, higher oil prices as the reason why they just can't keep the doors open.
Oh, yeah. And look, it was so quick. It was just like snapping your fingers. That it was on Friday. They were talking about a potential bailout from the federal government, right. And like 3 a.m. Saturday morning, the pilots union sent information to their pilots that the whole thing was shut down.
Yeah, and so that leaves 17,000 people without a job. I didn't realize it was that big because Spirit was here in Utah for some time.
A little bit.
They left. They weren't involved in Utah by the time they closed down. They were famous for their lower rates. And
like $199 one way to almost every location they flew.
Right. So anyway, a lot of people have their flights canceled. Travelers are left stranded. Here's ABC News Chief Business Correspondent Rebecca Jarvis on that.
Spirit has faced troubles for some time, but for the thousands of passengers and employees traveling with Spirit Airlines over the weekend, this came as a huge surprise. Many travelers were stranded after Spirit's last flight landed in Dallas. The airline's sudden closure comes amid rising fuel prices and just 9 months after Spirit filed for bankruptcy for the second time.
Yeah, and a lot of other airlines are standing up to the plate trying to make accommodations for them. But if you recall, Spirit had those bright yellow aircraft.
Yeah, yeah, the banana planes.
Right.
So look, a couple of things. So I'm looking online, and this is a story out of Florida where Spirit Airlines employees started getting job listings and help right off the bat, like literally within minutes. Other airlines were stepping up. So one of the stories that I saw, speaking of another airline, was a really touching one. So there was a Spirit airline pilot who was supposed to take his retirement flight, and that's like, the last flight, and they do a big deal and a big celebration. Well, it was canceled like mid-flight, not really mid-flight because he would have been flying, but it was canceled and he wasn't able to take it. And so he flew on Southwest, and his son was one of the captains on that Southwest flight. And he just kind of offhandedly mentioned that it was supposed to be his dad's retirement flight. And so what Southwest did was they made a really big deal about it. They had water cannons greet the plane as it landed. They had champagne greet him as the pilot stepped off the plane. And then on Instagram, Southwest said, basically, we're one big family and this is what we do, even though they're actually competitors.
Yeah, competitors. We did hear from Spirit's president and CEO, Dave Davis, who said this: the sudden and sustained rise in fuel prices in recent weeks ultimately has left us with no alternative but to pursue an orderly wind down of the company. There was a time when the government was talking about bailing them out.
Friday. There was a time on Friday.
Said that they were in dire straits, and he kind of said, look, don't blame higher oil prices. You guys were in trouble well before the war in Iran. And he's saying, you guys just weren't doing. He seemingly was more critical of the way the airline was being operated than for them to say, hey, oil prices knocked us out.
Well, okay, a couple of things. One, I think the government is going to save face by saying, okay, we decided that we're not going to bail you out, even though we were going to bail you out, but now we're not. But the other thing I think is, if you're a budget airline, I'm going to assume your profit margins are really small. And so when you have a really steep increase in jet fuel prices, and they were already having trouble, that's probably just the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, and I thought that there was going to be some sort of a government bailout, and it just didn't work out. The transportation secretary said at this point, I don't even think it's necessary. They do have access to cash if they want to come to the U.S. government. We would be a better lender than what they were considering. But he then said, I guess the Spirit airline people said, we can't even do it with the bailout. We'll never be able to pay it back. They're just closing the doors.
So one of the things that impacts, I think, Utah travelers is, I think that this is from CBS actually, but anytime you have a reduction in capacity and demand goes up, then airfares have nowhere to go but up. I'm not sure that that's true, but that was a travel editor with CBS News. But the fares that are already rising because of the spike in fuel prices, and I think I've mentioned on this show before, but my son-in-law is a new pilot just hired by SkyWest Airlines. And, there's a little bit of jitteriness, right? Because it's usually first in, first out, right? I mean, last in, first out. So he's just barely getting hired, hoping, and he's in training right now to be a pilot. I mean, he's already certified, but all the things he has to do to onboard as a pilot for SkyWest. So my daughter's family, they're a little bit concerned. And I think the suddenness, right, where they're in talks, they're not in talks, they're in talks, they're not in talks. And then when the announcement came, it feels like it really impacted pilots, flight attendants, people on the ground. It took them by surprise.
Yeah, I don't recall them being in Utah, but they were for some time. They then left. I think they were struggling and losing some of their routes and giving some of them up. But they were known for their really low fares, which brought the market to bear. I mean, a lot of other airlines had to reduce their fares to compete, and they were sort of famous for that. That was sort of their claim to fame. But I guess they just couldn't keep up, even with, especially with the low fares, and rather than raise fares, or I don't know what their marketing strategy was there at the end, but they just decided to close the doors, and it's going to be a problem for the other airlines, because they'll probably have to raise their ticket prices, and there's a lot of stranded travelers who purchased tickets with Spirit who are now going, what do I do now? So
they're trying to, like other airlines have been working with them, but I did hear an ABC News story this morning where a traveler was like, look, I'm stranded, and it cost me $1,600 out of pocket to fly home instead of my $199 ticket. That is a huge jump, and I don't know that a lot of people could handle that. But I do know that they've got a lot of other airlines stepping up, trying to get people home. There is some information about how you can get a refund if your flight was canceled, right? If you paid by credit or debit card, you can get that money back. If you use by vouchers, that may not come back. But I do have to say, we have a texter ask us, how does it impact Breeze, another low-cost airline? Well, they added 4 new routes this morning.
Yeah.
So they're doing okay.
Well, good for them.
Right? But it's always a question, right? Well, if it happens to one, could it happen to another, especially these really low-cost airlines? But Breeze Airways announced 4 new routes from Atlantic City this morning.
There was also some talk in 2023 of Spirit merging with JetBlue. And that merger did not go through. The Biden administration refused to allow it for whatever reason, maybe an antitrust or something.
Yeah, like that. Exactly. They said it would cause a monopoly. So do you have competition? Do you have monopolies? I don't I'm not the one who makes those types of decisions, right? But yeah, that was a proposed merger.
And there could be some blame on that as well. But I assume that the federal government was acting on the information it had at the time. But anyway, Spirit Airlines no longer will exist, and that started, I think, today. Doesn't affect Utah directly, but indirectly it may affect our ticket prices.
Well, I think it started immediately on Saturday when they made the news. Like, it was really emotional for a lot of people. All right, Greg, today's Star Wars Day. Do you know why?
I don't. You had to tell me that
because
I missed
it's
something.
May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. So I had to wear a Star Wars shirt today, but we're going to try and stump our resident film expert, Andy Farnsworth, with Star Wars trivia when we come back.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio, or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
A mother's love doesn't always look the same. It's in the woman who raised you, the one who chose you, the one who stepped in when you needed it most. It's in grandmothers, sisters, mentors, and the women who show up again and again with love, strength, and grace. This Mother's Day, Duke's Jewelers celebrates all of them. At Duke's Jewelers, they believe women who shape our lives deserve something just as meaningful as the love they give. Something timeless, personal, and filled with heart. From classic diamonds to one-of-a-kind designs, every piece is chosen to honor her story and yours. A piece she'll wear every day and think of you. Join Duke's Jewelers this Mother's Day and enjoy a complimentary rose with any jewelry purchase while supplies last. Because every kind of mom deserves to feel seen, celebrated, and loved. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville and at dukesjewelers.com.
Gold demand is skyrocketing to record highs. As more Americans rush to preserve their savings, will there be enough gold? I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I believe physical gold is the only way to truly protect your 401k or IRA savings. Gold offers tangible security that can't be tracked, stolen, or inflated. That's why I strongly advocate for gold IRAs. To learn more, text the word SECURE to 989898 now. Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust, and their thousands of great reviews prove I'm not alone. So don't wait another second. Protect your retirement savings today and see how easy it is to move your IRA or 401k into physical precious metals. Text SECURE to the number 989898 for your free gold IRA info kit. Again, SECURE to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply.
I'm Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. Wellness starts at home. At Arctic Spas, we have what you need for home wellness. Hot tubs provide physical and mental relaxation, improve circulation, and stimulate better sleep, all while giving the perfect time to connect with loved ones. Swim spas and all-weather pools provide at-home, low-impact exercise, a break from gravity, and family fun. Cold tubs provide muscle recovery, reduce soreness, and provide the best mental boost. Saunas help you recover, detox, and improve your cardiovascular health. This can all be done at your home, ready whenever you are, and you can find it all at Arctic Spas. We are here to help you relax, exercise, and recover. We make it easy for you. You can find out more at ArcticSpasUtah.com or stop by one of our 3 stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Arctic Spa, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness.
The ridgeline is imposing, the escarpments, the drops.
A place where survival,
it's dark now, I have nothing,
is never certain. In 2011, an Australian hiker vanished.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
The mountains have decided to keep him.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle, wherever you get your podcasts.
The new Inside Sources.
Who doesn't know that theme song? Even I do, and I'm not the movie buff that some people are.
So, May the 4th be with you. Look, I have a couple of fun facts before we try to stump Andy Farnsworth, but 8 years ago on May 4th, I graduated with my master's degree. You can weigh in, Andy, because it was funny.
Well, but you got to finish the story.
Okay, so I graduated with my master's degree on May 4th. My brother also graduated with his master's degree, different universities, but we met up. We had a lightsaber duel in our master gowns and hoods. But as I walked into the arena for graduation, you walk by all the professors. This was down at Southern Utah University, and several of them were dressed in full Star Wars regalia. One of them was Queen Amidala with makeup and the hair and the costume and everything. I was like, it's so cool.
So was there anybody in the procession line that when they got there, they said, we do not grant you the rank of master? Because I love that you and your brother were both granted the rank of master on May the 4th.
On Star Wars Day. I think there was even a Darth Vader, but no, it was really fun. Yeah, it was really fun. So that's my trivia for May the 4th be with you.
I don't have...
Master Holly is what we got a collar now.
Yeah, well, now it's Dr. Holly.
Right,
but
yeah. It's even better. Don't sell her short. So, big day, I guess, May 4th. May
this has become a thing.
How many have there been so far? I know that's maybe not one of your...
there's been a May 4th every year since the Gregorian calendar came into effect, I'm pretty sure. But
how many Star Wars?
Star Wars came out in 1977. Next year's the 50th anniversary.
Wow.
And
oh, my gosh, that makes me feel
isn't
old.
that wild? They've actually already got screenings scheduled for the 50th anniversary of Star Wars for next year that you can get tickets for already.
Oh, my gosh.
Is what I'm saying.
Oh, wow.
And... there's no way. They didn't even know when they were making Star Wars that it was going to turn into what it did. Han Solo famously said, this is going to be a bomb. Alec Guinness was like, I don't even know what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And it really...
way before AI and all that stuff. Look, I have a joke before we try to stump you. So I included this in Utah Policy today. Why did Star Wars release episodes 3, 4, and 6, and then 1, 2, and 3?
4, 5, and 6, you mean?
Yeah, 4, 5, and 6 is what I mean.
So, this is we're going to go into the weeds here. It's a good thing that I don't have the nerd alert.
It's a joke.
It's a joke.
What's the punchline?
Oh. Well, I don't take things as Star Wars as a joke, apparently.
Then you can tell us.
Because in charge of scheduling, Yoda was.
Okay, that's good.
Now?
That's the shirt I was going to wear today. It's actually a holiday shirt, and it says the season to be, jolly it is. That has Yoda with a little Santa hat on.
Okay. I have Baby Grogu.
I know, I love it. I know, and he's got his movie coming out in a couple of weeks.
So tell us the real answer to the question.
The real answer to the question is George Lucas was hoping to have a big, long story, but he knew he was only going to get for sure to make one. So they didn't even have episode 4 in the scroll at the beginning of Star Wars in 1977. That wasn't added till later.
Yeah.
Okay.
We haven't even gotten to the trivia, but I have to tell you, I remember I stood in line. I lived in France. I was a teenager there. My dad lived there, so our whole family was there. I went to French schools, so I stood in line, heard the whole movie in French, right? But I just remember like it was...
How do you say "May the Force be with you" in French?
Que la force soit avec toi.
I love it.
See? That's a long-term memory in my brain because it was so groundbreaking. It just really was incredible, and I know I stood in line more than once to watch that show.
Well, you and a lot of people.
Me and a lot of people.
Boy,
Okay.
remember the days when you had to wait in line for
I
movies?
know,
I'm so
man.
glad those days are gone.
No, those were fun.
Reserved seating is a
Right,
great
right,
thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, you
wanna
ready
start
for
with
some
trivia?
trivia?
Let's see
Okay,
if you
so
can stop
I only
me.
saw the first couple, so mine all come from early shows, and you're young, so here
How
we
does
go.
that not surprise
okay,
me,
so
Greg?
here's one. I hope you know this. What is the name of Han Solo's ship?
The aluminum. No, just kidding. The Millennium Falcon.
Dude.
I never doubted you for a second. Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, 3PO. All right,
okay.
Holly, you got one for me?
Yes, I do. And
Where did you guys get these questions? Did you come up with them yourself, or did you look them up on the internet?
Oh, no, we
found 'em.
cheated.
Ah,
Yeah.
Okay.
We cheated. We looked them up. Okay. Who commanded the first Death Star?
That would be Grand Moff Tarkin.
I never doubted you for a second. Wonderful.
But originally it was constructed, as we learned later. I'm just kidding. I could go into that by Director Krennic, but that's a Rogue One little bit of trivia there.
Okay.
Okay, what species is Chewbacca?
Chewbacca is a Wookiee from the planet Kashyyyk.
I never doubted you for a second. Wonderful.
I gotta get you on something here.
All right. Okay.
What is the airspeed of a swallow?
No.
African or what is? I forgot the other one.
European.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's African or European. Okay, so what knights serve Kylo Ren?
The Knights of Ren.
I never doubted you for a second. Wonderful.
And they really wasted the potential of those characters in that sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
We never really even found out anything about them until Kylo Ren killed them all in The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Okay, what does Princess Leia say after Hans tells her, "I love you"?
Okay.
I think
you got
this
that
is backwards. I think it's backwards. I think it's written backwards.
Princess
I
Leia
remember
says,
that.
"I love you."
And Han
and
Solo.
originally, this line was scripted was to say, "I love you too." And Harrison Ford didn't feel like that's something Han would say, so he switched it to "I know."
Yep.
You knew it better than the question. You're right. The question was written wrong.
Okay. So what bounty hunter droid appears in The Mandalorian?
IG-88, I believe, but actually might be IG-11. Is it IG-11? IG-88's in Empire Strikes Back, but it is an IG droid, which
I
stands
think
for
he gets credit for that.
Does he get credit for that?
Uh-oh, they're looking it up.
Uh-oh.
But I did say IG-11.
Failed me for the last time.
Your first answer was
didn't.
not correct,
That
but your
is true.
second answer was correct.
He gets
it is
that.
IG-11.
We got to give
It
him
was
that
voiced
one.
by Taika Waititi.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, when Luke fights with Darth Vader, what does he end up losing?
Well, besides the dignity of losing a lightsaber battle, he loses his right hand and his lightsaber.
That is correct.
I never doubted you for a second.
His right hand. You even knew which hand it was.
Oh, yeah. You don't know
Seen that scene a lot of times.
I know
yeah.
he lost something.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't know it was his right
Okay.
hand.
He actually technically lost his X-Wing also because he ends up getting saved on the Millennium Falcon and his X-Wing is parked.
Okay,
Just so you know.
this is out of our long list of questions, number 82. What kind of creature was Yoda originally going to be?
Oh,
I did not know this, by the way.
I don't know if I know this. I know I saw some early concept art of him, and he did look kind of like a little imp, but I don't know what he was originally going to be.
You have failed me for the last time.
A monkey.
A
You'd be
monkey.
a monkey, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that I got to fail you for the last time, the second time.
Well,
Okay.
you know,
This
you're
one-
lucky that we can't reach across and choke you.
This one should be easy, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's number 94. Who was the voice of Darth Vader in the original trilogy?
James Earl Jones.
I never doubted you for a second. Wonderful.
And it's actually, you can watch old clips of them shooting the scenes, and you can hear the actor who was Darth Vader in the suit saying the lines.
Oh, wow.
Sounds very different.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Oh, that's interesting.
I always thought it sounded like him. I didn't know it actually was James Earl Jones.
Just his voice.
The voice.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, this is the question 100. What two electronics were used to create the sound of a lightsaber?
Oh, you know what? I actually knew this at one point. I don't remember.
You have failed me for the last time.
It was a film projector and a television set. I mean, they were so creative in the 1970s.
Well, the lightsaber itself was an old flash bulb.
Yeah.
The
Isn't it?
handles were made out of the old flash. Do you remember the old flash bulbs?
I think I remember, I don't know if this question is even on there, but I think I remember reading that they had to, like, they literally drew in the lightsabers, like, for the film. Is that true or not?
It's rotoscoping. So they had
I don't know what that is.
It had like a reflective material on it, and then they would color it after the fact.
Oh, okay. So they colorized it after the fact.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Okay, I think we have time for one or two
One more.
Okay, since you're big on actors, who was the actor who wore Darth Vader's suit in the original trilogy?
David Prowse.
Oh, my gosh.
That's the guy who was saying...
Number 95, sorry. Yes, he nailed it.
The late David Prowse. Actually, both of them have passed away now, David Prowse and James Earl Jones.
Okay, one more. Can I do one more, Holly?
You better hurry.
Number
We're out of
97.
time.
What famous director and friend of George Lucas influenced the early Star Wars cuts?
Steven Spielberg.
I never doubted you.
You're amazing. We never doubted.
I
You
will
gotta go.
point out, I won Star Wars Trivial Pursuit on one turn one time.
All
Well,
right.
you won today.
Wow.
You won today. I
That's
think you were
amazing.
like
Thanks,
18
Andy.
and 2.
Thanks, guys. May the 4th be with you.
Yep. You too. And with you.
When we come back, we're going to talk about the Affordable Care Act and subsidies which extend to expire and what that means for millions of Americans. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour happening this morning. A Santaquin nurse is being sentenced after a Provo court convicted her in the killing of her friend. Megan Sunwall was found guilty of manslaughter and obstruction of justice for giving her friend a fatal dose of insulin. Sunwall reportedly believed she was the beneficiary of a $1.5 million life insurance policy for her friend. In a matter of hours, Box Elder County leaders are expected to vote on whether a massive proposed AI data center project will move forward. The project is backed by Shark Tank investor Kevin O'Leary, and it's getting a lot of pushback from the public over water use and environmental concerns. Project organizers have pledged to protect the environment and limit their water use. Today's meeting scheduled to start at 4 o'clock, with the vote happening sometime afterwards. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The U.S. Supreme Court has temporarily reinstated mail-order access to the abortion drug mifepristone. The use of the drug is currently being challenged in court in Louisiana, and the Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals had blocked the delivery of the drug. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 439 points to 49,059. Coming up, chance for storms today and tomorrow. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
The source is where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
Since 1947, Whipple Service Champions has been Utah's most trusted name for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services. Got a high-priced repair bill from another company and you're just not sure about it? Call Whipple. Get a free, no-pressure estimate or bring us their quote for an honest second opinion. Totally free. Whipple Service Champions, Utah's first place for second opinions since 1947. Call 385-273-7167 for your free estimate today. 385-273-7167.
For hearts that love. For hearts that care. For hearts that comfort. For hearts that heal. We care for them all. At Common Spirit Health, we know that each patient is unique, That's why our cardiology team is committed to caring for every kind of heart. Find heart care near you at mountain.commonspirit.org.
Breaking news update on KSL News Radio and an email sent out minutes ago to parents in the Provo School District. The Provo High School lockdown has been lifted. The school district saying in coordination with Provo Police, it's been determined that there is no credible threat to the school, and the lockdown has been lifted at Provo High School. Provo Police will continue to investigate any information that they receive, and district officials and a police presence will remain at and around the school for the rest of the day. That is breaking news. The Provo High School lockdown has been lifted. We'll continue to follow and update this story as it develops throughout the day. Now it's time for a check of traffic brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Let's check in with Cormac Bone.
Just a touch of northbound I-15 delays left over at 3300 South approaching the I-8201 interchange, but those are very light. And we do still see this crash getting off the freeway in Midvale, southbound I-15 at 7200 South. And they are just at the end of the on-ramp in that right shoulder, causing some light congestion getting off the freeway. At Olson's Greenhouse, gardening brings families together. Hands in the soil, time well spent. Add fresh flowers to porches, patios, beds, or containers. Learn more at OGG.com. That's OGG.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, we've got a high today coming of 74 degrees with a small chance for some pop-up storms this afternoon. More pop-up showers on Tuesday with a high of 69. Right now it is 68 degrees and cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, we want to hear from you. Have your insurance premiums gone up in the last few months? Text us at 57500 if your insurance premiums have gone up. And we're asking this today, Holly, because a new report from the New York Times finds that in the months since Congress let the tax credits that were imposed during COVID expire, millions of Americans are losing their coverage.
The subsidies. So they're dropping their coverage because they feel like they can't afford it. And that's one of the issues. So, look, I'll just say my own health insurance premiums went up. I don't have the Affordable Care Act. I am insured through our insurer here, but my coverage premiums went up a lot, and so did my copays. I think that has been pretty universal across the board. But I'm I really am interested in talking to our next guest about how it has impacted Utah.
Yeah, and so we do have John Pike, Utah Insurance Commissioner, with us on the line this morning. John, thanks for joining us again.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Tell us what you're hearing or seeing, rather, from the Utah Insurance Commission as it relates to this problem.
Well, as you know, and I think the main thing we're referring to today is the individual health plan or the individual marketplace. It's often called Obamacare. And we had at the end of last year those what are called premium tax credits expired, or at least the enhanced tax credits expired, which had the immediate effect of raising real premiums for those people that have those individual health plans through the Affordable Care Act. And so we had some people had very large increases. Some people frankly couldn't afford to keep their plans and didn't really see it coming. So, we did, and we tried to get that word out even through this program. But we had, probably, and we don't have exact numbers, but around, 35,000 people, Utahns, actually went uninsured as a result of those premium tax credits either going away or, going down because it was just too expensive. I mean, we're talking in some cases, not like probably us with employer-sponsored health plans that might have seen, say, an 8 to 10% increase. Some of these folks were seeing, 100%, 200% premium tax increases effectively because of those tax credits going away, right? The premiums didn't really go up that much, but what they had to pay did because the federal government was helping to pay those premiums, is what it amounted to through tax credits being offered. So anyway, we have seen an impact. So we've got more people uninsured, and we've got some people who are going to other sources. Some are have found maybe they've been able to get onto an employer plan or a spouse's plan. That's good. Others have gone to short-term duration plans. Aren't as good. They generally go for 6 months to a year, and they tend to be more expensive. And they're kind of a throwback to the old way of you have to qualify for those plans. You have to be medically underwritten. So not everyone can get those plans. If they, have a disease or they have some illnesses, they may not qualify. So those are the concerns we have. And of course, the ultimate issue is we've got to try to reduce the sort of the cost curve, the increasing cost curve. And so these tax credits don't do anything, whether they're there or not, to solve that problem. But they do help people be able to make the premiums every month.
So, Commissioner Pike, I know we talked with you several times at the end of last year as this was coming down the pike, dare I say. Okay. We talked to you at the end of last year, and you were saying that you were worried that people would make the choice to not have coverage, not make the choice, but feel like they're forced into the situation where they can no longer have coverage. And you indicated, I think you said 35,000 additional Utahns no longer have coverage because of the increase. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's an estimate, but yes, that's about what we believe from what we're hearing and kind of early reports. Even though it's May now, it still takes a while to kind of know exactly what's happened. But yeah, that's about what our estimate was, and we believe that that's what's happened.
Can I ask you
so
about?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to ask you about catastrophic coverage. Is that something that is available for people? And I guess I don't know a lot about it. It just seems like maybe you don't pay as much and it will cover if you have a catastrophic event.
There are some plans like that are they're more limited in terms of what they cover. They might cover a specific, illness, for example, and so you can buy that in the event that you get cancer or you get, have some huge medical expenses. So yes, there are some things that are available that at least can help in sort of the worst case scenario. What's not as available is kind of more comprehensive, covering all your health care expenses. And so that's where people are going to either these short-term plans or not really insurance, in fact, not insurance at all, but what they call health sharing ministries plans. Those you can sort of buy into and pay dues into, but it's not a promise to pay. It depends on their availability of funds. And so some people have gone to that option.
I have another question about this whole overall situation. And you mentioned bending down the curve, but I'm wondering if people are feeling like they can't afford it. So two things, I guess. One is they're not getting preventative care. And so that means that by the time they need attention, it may have been something that could have been solved a lot earlier. But second, are they then using the emergency rooms as primary care providers? And does that mean that taxpayers end up on the hook if they actually can't afford health insurance?
You're really right on both counts, Holly. If people don't do their preventive care, it does typically mean you're going to have. It's just a matter of when, not so much if. You're going to have things come up, and if you put off, getting that early care, then yeah, statistics and history has told us you're probably just making your situation worse, physically, medically, and financially. And then if people are getting essentially their care, or even their primary care, if you will, through the ER, or even for like Instacare type facilities, urgent care facilities, that is a more expensive way to get your care, especially the emergency room. Very not the right way, very inefficient, if you will, in terms of, day-to-day kinds of care. You don't want to do that if you can possibly avoid it. That does, in one way or another, cost us all more, either as taxpayers or as ratepayers, if you know what I mean. Because if you're buying insurance through, Regence Blue Cross or Select Health or whichever company, the U of U Health, all of their plans are going to go up in cost, if you will, if they're having to pay more, either through bad debt, not being able to collect, what their hospitals and providers have billed for, or they're having to spread, and that's what insurance does, is they spread the risk across all people. Well, if the costs go up, then the underlying costs go up for everybody. So one way or another, either through premiums or tax implications, it depends on, what we're talking about. It does raise costs for everybody.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. That was John Pike, Utah Insurance Commissioner. We're getting older, but not you and I. You and I are going to stay young forever.
Young.
But the U.S. population as a whole is aging faster than people anticipated. So we're going to talk more about the effect this could have when we come back after this break.
Meet Morgan Jones. Morgan is about to step into a world unknown to most, thanks to Progressive's Renters Insurance, a place of fresh linens and turn-down service. You see, Morgan temporarily vacated her apartment and has gone to a hotel because a pipe burst in her apartment. A pipe that made her sense of reality and apartment ceiling all come crashing down. Luckily, Morgan checked into Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Usually when something sounds way too good to be true, it is. Imagine someone saying you can cut your mobile bill in half. Sounds like a fantasy, but with Xfinity Mobile, it's the real deal. Because when you have Xfinity Internet, you can cut your mobile bill in half, plus try Xfinity Mobile free for a year. No commitment. That's a lot of streaming, sharing, scrolling, whatever else you can do with your phone, all for half the price and none of the commitment. That means you'll save big over Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Wild. Now all you have to do is think about how you'll spend all that extra money. Call 1-800-XFINITY, go to XfinityMobile.com, or visit your local Xfinity store to switch today. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Savings compare one line of Xfinity Mobile Select to comparable plans from T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T as of 3/24/26. Taxes, fees extra. $30 monthly discount limited to new mobile customers only after 12 months. Regular rates apply. Go to XfinityMobile.com.
Matthew.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I just need you to listen to me.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thanks, Mom, for never giving up and always being my biggest fan.
Thank you for letting me know what you expect, so I can try to meet your expectations.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
If you've got a honey-do list with electrical, plumbing, heating, or air conditioning projects on it, Any Hour Services can help. Call Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. AnyHourServices.com.
This message is for Shauna, my mom, who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You told me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
911 coming.
exactly what happened.
My son and his wife and their 2 children haven't responded.
Susan Powell disappeared on a snowy morning in 2009.
And I said, Josh, where are you? You need to get home.
And her husband will never be held accountable.
Your wife is missing, Josh.
Yeah, but
And you want to think about it for a couple of days?
I'd had this overwhelming feeling that he had done something to her already.
I'm Dave Cawley, host of the podcast Cold.
Then he starts making phone calls to Susan's phone.
Hello, Susan. We are on our way back.
It's the deepest of deep dives into this tragic tale of abuse.
Where was Josh when Susan disappeared?
I don't know.
Of one mother's desperate attempt to escape.
This is me, covering all my bases.
Help prevent it from happening again.
Our focus has and continues to be finding Susan.
Listen and learn by following Cold wherever you get your podcasts.
Inside Sources.
So, Greg, I know you and I are not getting older. Actually, we talk about that a lot on this show. We are actually getting older. And it's, we've talked also about how there's an imbalance in Social Security, in the workers coming up, in our own kids having kids. And I thought my kids would have at least 5 kids apiece. No. They're like 1 or 2 is good for us, Mom.
And I remember as going to school, people telling us that our planet cannot handle the increase in population. We need to slow down. In China, it's been decades where they limited the number of children people could have. In the United States, we didn't necessarily do that, but other factors have caused populations to decrease, and it affects you and I in a lot of ways, not the least of which is Social Security. Who's going to fund that? And other things.
So Jay Evenson with the Deseret News wrote an article about the shrinking population, and there's a line that stood out to me. He's talking about a new report that says, in fact, the U.S. may actually be less prepared for an eventual depopulation today than it was a generation ago. So Jay is in studio with us. Thanks for joining us, Jay.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, this was a piece by Nicholas Eberstadt at the American Enterprise Institute. And he was talking about our greatest natural resource is human ingenuity. And Greg, you talked about some of those forecasts many years ago about overpopulation, and he says we were able to prove those wrong because of human ingenuity. We were able to increase crop yields, for example, and we have far fewer farmers now than we've ever had before, but we're feeding many more people, and we're much more prosperous than we've ever been. But the decreasing population is a whole different problem altogether. And the United States isn't the only country facing it. Virtually the entire developed world is shrinking in population. And he says that it's harder today than it was a little while ago for us to deal with it, because he says that we have taken on some undesirable new habits, politically, socially, and economically. And I think he's referring to our national debt, our overspending. Our young people do not want to have children, and we can't seem to accomplish anything politically. So we're in a world of hurt.
Yeah, and it does seem like, Jay, that a lot of young people today, like my own children who are having children of their own, are more, like you say, pessimistic, I guess, about the future. I guess to me, until I read your article, I hadn't appreciated some of the negatives to a decreasing population besides my own selfish, need to have Social Security funded. But there is a lot more to it that maybe people didn't realize, like you say, 10 years ago when this crisis, not whatever it is, was on the horizon.
Well, you can look at a couple of things that are pretty easy to talk about. Social Security, for example, there will be fewer workers to pay Social Security benefits for a huge number of retirees. And the same with Medicare. The military, how are we going to be able to afford the military? President Trump wants $1.5 trillion for the military, which is more than double what we are paying right now. How do we afford that? Servicing the national debt. We owe over $1 trillion a year now in just interest on that debt. So if you have a shrinking population, how do you afford those things? And then there's a human element to it too. There's something about having children that makes us look beyond ourselves and makes us better community citizens and more anxious to look out for other people. And then there's this responsibility of rearing the next generation and training and teaching them. that we seem to be abdicating. You hear a lot nowadays about, how expensive it is to have kids. Well, we're wealthier than we've ever been in this country. The irony is, I look at my grandparents, great-grandparents, they had nothing, and they had lots of children. And we have so many resources available to us, and we're not having them.
You know, you end your article by saying that large families, I've done my part.
Yes,
Large
you
families
have.
are the best engines for creating the greatest natural resource. I only half joke when I say my kids are my retirement plan, right? Because they each have their own families, but they're all they're successful, they're doing well, and maybe I'll sell the big house and just buy an RV and just go park in front of them for 2 weeks a year or something like that.
Sounds great. There are a lot of older people who do that, exactly that, yes. And there's a real joy that comes with raising children. And I take issue every now and then you see a report that says, it costs X number of dollars to raise a child, like 200, 300,000, whatever.
That math never worked for me, by the way.
No.
I always saw those. It's like, yeah, there were economies of scale for sure, raising a big family. And I just never, it never worked.
No, you look for ways to cut corners. You have, maybe you have parents or other relatives who buy a stroller or whatever it is that you need. It's never exactly that way. And of course, you're not paying that much out of pocket right away. You economize. We all do what we can. But this problem, and Eberstadt makes it very clear through the use of statistics, that we're facing this sooner than we maybe thought that we were. And we used to think of immigration as kind of our ace in the hole, right? Because we would always bring in more people to this country. Even if we weren't producing children, we could bring in immigrants. And now that's fallen out of favor. We are not bringing in the immigrants that we were before. And that leaves us with few options. And so he says we need to innovate our way out of this, but he doesn't really provide any actual solutions to it. We're going to figure it out, apparently. We're going to use AI to help us.
That's what I was going to ask you. Well, what can be done? But I understand. I mean, people are talking about, hey, we're behind the eight ball. We saw this coming. We didn't do anything. But we don't really have an idea what anything means. Do we? Right? What can be done at this point?
Everything in our society is predicated on growth.
Yeah.
Capitalism requires growth and new markets, and so it's a whole new way of thinking. How do you monetize shrinkage? And what do you do when our inner cities start to decay like Detroit is already, because you have empty homes and empty offices and that kind of thing? I'm not sure what the answer is to those problems, and somebody needs to start thinking about it. And we've already tried some incentives to get people to have more children. The Trump administration is giving $1,000 saving accounts to every new child born. These have been tried, similar type things, in countries all over the world. Not one of them has succeeded because young people just aren't interested in having children. And how do you change that mindset? How do you change that way of thought and help them to understand the virtues of parenthood? It's a real challenge.
And it's complex, right? Because part of it is financial, but part of it is, they're worried about the state of the world. And is that something that they want their child or children to grow up in? Are we going to have a nuclear bomb? I mean, I think there's a lot of complexity that goes into that. You mentioned AI, and it made me think that I have seen news stories about, not humans yet, animals who've been grown outside of a mother, outside of a human, of a mammal host, right? That they've been able to do that successfully and grow baby sheep, for example, grow lambs in an artificial uterus maintained and controlled on the outside. And so there are some cutting edge, but I think questionably, ethically questionable, right? So I just don't want the government to say, well, we need more babies, so we're just going to grow them.
Sounds like a science fiction plot. And
I know, but it's not that far away.
One that's not going to end very well. Yeah, there are some real moral and ethical questions there about who raises that type of a child and what. And I suppose there can be some value to it for couples who can't have children. But we really need to think through. I think we're even less prepared to think through the moral and ethical questions than we are the financial ones.
Oh, for sure.
It's also interesting that the author of this report indicates that maybe artificial intelligence can help us with this problem, but I don't know.
Well, that's what I was saying, right? Can you grow a baby?
Yeah, how does that? I don't even know how that.
Yeah, I think his point is that this is the ingenuity, the innovation that humans bring to the equation, and artificial intelligence is one aspect. And he says, I don't think it's going to be the last big, great new thing to come. There are other experts, however, who say that what's very necessary for innovation is brain elasticity, which is more present in young people than it is in people our age. And those people, young people, have to get together and develop a sort of synergy that leads to innovative thought. We have a lot of universities closing around the country now because of the lack of enrollment. Mm-hmm. And so I question whether we'll have that much more innovation going forward.
Yeah, interesting. Well, thanks, Jay. Thanks for joining us again. And hopefully we'll see you again next week. When we come back, the old gang is back together. If you recall, Alex Carey and Ethan Millard, they had the show at KSL Nightside. Well, now they're back with KSL Brightside, which is going to begin today, only an hour after our show ends at 1 o'clock. We'll talk about what to expect, and we'll have them in studio, I think, when we come back.
That's right.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Provo police have lifted the lockdown at Provo High School, saying they've determined there is no credible threat to the school. Precautions were taken after the school received a threatening phone call. The school day will continue as normal, but extra officers will remain on campus and counselors will be available for anyone who needs them. A Harriman woman was arrested after police say she was going over 100 miles per hour while intoxicated. This happened Saturday morning on southbound I-15 in Lehigh. Police say the driver reached speeds of 119 miles an hour at one point. She's now facing multiple charges. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Iranian officials say today they've received a U.S. counterproposal to end the war, showing talks are still ongoing between the two sides through Pakistan mediators.
There are no talks scheduled, at least in person. The president's been very clear, and he doesn't want to see 18-hour flights from his top representatives, his special envoy, Steve Witkoff, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, until they're closer to an actual deal. But he says there are talks taking place between the U.S. and Iran.
That's ABC's Karen Travers reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow's down today, 456 points to 49,046. Coming up, a few stray showers today and tomorrow. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Can we talk about something difficult to discuss? Are you going through a difficult financial time? You have equity in your home, but nobody can help? American Home Loans has created the Bridge Loan Program to use your equity regardless of your credit at this time. The bridge loan can be used to pay debts, collections, IRS liens, divorce settlements, or home improvements. Call at 801-262-2221. That's 262-2221. This loan creates a bridge between now and a much brighter future. After COVID, one of their clients had over $85,000 in credit cards. Their scores were too low to borrow on their home. American Home Loans was able to save them $2,000 a month. And after 8 months, they qualified for a conventional loan and lowered their payments. The consultation is free and confidential. Please call them and see what they can do for you. The number is 801-262-2221. It's 262-2221, or go to AmericanHomeLoans.com. AmericanHomeLoans.com. NMLS 245422, Equal Housing Lender.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Come on, the meeting's already started.
Sometimes it's important.
Last call, boarding gate number 9.
Sometimes it's urgent.
Trip for alarm.
Sometimes it's vital. Hospital treatment within 1 hour of a stroke can prevent lifelong disability. If you notice someone experiencing sudden weakness on one side or having a problem speaking, walking, or seeing, call 911 fast. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at UCCU.com. Here's Cormac Bone.
We've got just a touch of southbound I-15 delays approaching 13th South, and the crash that we had in Midvale getting off the freeway at 7200 South, that has cleared off the road, so it's a really good drive starting out your morning commute. Or your midday commute. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
It's still technically morning, Cormac, so you're good there. KSL weather forecast today. We're looking at a high of 74 right now. We're already up to 70 degrees. There will be a few stray rain showers moving in this afternoon. Pretty much the same tomorrow, but a high of only 69. Again, right now, 70 degrees in Salt Lake. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I don't know if I've ever told you about my favorite rock band, Holly, the Eagles. And about 15 years ago, they got back together, and I couldn't have been happier. They had they call it the Hell Freezes Over tour because they said we'll never get together until that happens. So they got back together. It was the greatest thing in the world. And so to break that news today, we've got another band that's getting back together this afternoon.
That's funny. So, look, if our listeners have been on KSL at all for the last couple of weeks, they keep hearing these teasers about something old and something new. And then on Friday, I started seeing your faces online, and the faces would be Ethan Millard and Alex Curie because they've got a new show.
That's right, KSL Brightside. We kick it off today.
It's the new old show. That's the new
part.
Old
show.
Ethan's the old part of our show, by the way.
I am now. So we started. So here's the thing. When we started the Nightside Project, we were both in our 20s.
Oh wow!
I'm going to be 50 next year.
Oh.
So
this
is a real kind of full circle.
It is a full. Yeah, it's a 20. So 2026 is the 20th anniversary of when we first started. The show started 20 years ago, the Nightside Project. Yeah. So it is coming full circle. It is wild because
that is wild.
This doesn't happen very often in radio because people don't just go, "Oh, come on back." We accepted everyone's apologies and we came back. It's fine.
But we've all loved this work so much, and you guys know how much fun it is to be here, and it's kind of left a hole, the show we used to do and the audience we used to get to know. And I still keep in touch with people that used to listen to the show back in the day. We still chit chat and it's just so rewarding. And I'm so glad to be back doing this. It's going to be
Tell us about the show. It starts today. It runs Monday through Friday, 1 to 3.
That's correct. Yeah. So from noon to 1, it's exclusively online. So we're streaming on YouTube. So it's a live show starting at noon, running into not quite 1 o'clock, but that first hour. And then we'll come down here and we'll broadcast live on KSL News Radio from 1 to 3. And so it'll be 3 hours. And then later in the evening, we'll replay that streamed show at 7 p.m.
Yeah. And then, so the whole idea is you'll get something at night that people hadn't heard. Yeah. If they were listening to KSL News Radio during the day, they hadn't heard it during the day. So
yeah, that's right. So it's going to be fun.
So how are you different than Inside Sources?
Okay, that's a really good point. Not
nearly as accomplished.
Also, you know what the word sources means? Like, because you guys are doing work. We're not interested in the work part. We're not interested in.
It depends if you were to refer to us as Inside Sources, you would have to ask inside of what. So if we're talking about like
Food news, we're on it.
Like
listen.
McDonald's inside sources of McDonald's?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. No, the difference is, I mean, we all live in the news world inside of this studio.
Yeah.
Whatever happens inside this master studio at KSL for the last 100 years has been the same way. And we don't ever forget what the KSL brand is, ever, right? And this is what we learned in this room, what the KSL brand is years ago. And so now all we're trying to do is make sure that people understand, first of all, that leads out. The information stuff leads out.
It's news.
Our version of what the way we see news and information, that's all people get. They'll get a lot of stories that they probably didn't know about or maybe hadn't heard about, and some ones that they had. And then just our way of being able to look at it, which has always been a little bit different, certainly different from one another. And we've never really been the type to ever say, "Oh, you should bring up that thing," or "Oh, you feel about it that way. Well, then be more aggressive." Feeling that way about it. We have the kind of conversations, I think, that when you walk away from your friends at their houses and you go, and you and your wife or you and your spouse go, that was so much fun. I forget how much fun it is to chat with those guys.
Oh,
yeah.
It's because, and it wasn't civil, not civil it was, but it wasn't necessarily like that you agreed the whole time.
Right.
But you enjoy the perspective of smart people. That's the Ethan's part. And don't confuse bright side. I've been, this disclaimer's there. We are not, this is not because we're claiming any kind of intellect at all. This is 100% just the fact that the sun's out while we're doing the show. And we think that the way we've always looked at things is we walk away from the show and we feel pretty good about that.
That's right. And I think Alex is absolutely right. And I like that idea of bringing it up in kind of a friend's context. You know, you've got friends that you chat with and they love current events and you love current events as you talk about them. And that's what we want to kind of bring in. These are conversations among friends with friends, and that includes people who are listening. So we want people to really feel like they're part of a little group hanging out, talking about the news, learning a few things. And we want that experience to be uplifting, even when sometimes the news isn't always uplifting, but we can still have that experience of togetherness that can be uplifting and that can be fulfilling. And so that's what we're hoping.
I've never been accused of being uplifting, by the way. But we tend to have a lot of fun, and then people by the end go, "Oh, that was pretty fun." Yeah. That's our goal.
Ethan, I remember the show, the night show, was you guys were really symbiotic. There was a lot of energy. It was really fun to listen to, and you guys haven't aged out of that, have you?
Well, I hope not. I actually have thought about this.
We've aged out
actually
of a lot. We've aged into a lot of things. The lower back pain, like I said.
There you go. Right.
Touch of the sugars. Can't have. I try to watch my figure all the time. Those things we've aged into. Aging out of being immature. I'm still there.
Yeah,
I'm still in that.
This is actually something I've thought a lot about because Alex has stayed in radio. I went over and I've had this separate career in finance, which I'm still doing. I'll be doing that in the morning. I'll be doing this midday, and I'll be going back to my desk, at my other job for the afternoons.
Breaking news for your current boss.
Yeah, right. Hey, I'll see you at 3. And but I've really thought about that because when you're young, which is we were a lot younger when we were on the air doing this, you're so confident. And it's easy to be aggressive, be confident. You know everything and you want to explain everything. And as I've gotten older, the thing that you learn most is how much you don't know. And so I've thought a lot about that. And we've had a chance to practice a little bit last week to try and kind of get back into that rhythm. But I actually am really worried that I'm going to open the microphone and just not have any of that confidence that I had when I was a young man. Hopefully, though, I can still keep that energy up.
So. That'd be great. So I was hoping that Bright Side would represent bright stories. Like, even I get tired of the news, man.
Yeah.
I'm hoping you're going to bring happy stories to bear.
I think some of them it ends up being that way. I mean, like, we just sort of look at things that way anyway. But we're also not going to go, oh, I'm going to forget about these other stories that are going on during the day. Number one, that's not KSL's way. And number two, I think that finding the stories that are like you probably missed this, and this is what's awesome about the human race or whatever. I think a big thing that's come up even just while we were planning this, and it happened during our show, but now I feel like we've actually kind of verbalized it a little bit more, is that we have chatted about how we are so fans of Utah. You know what I mean? Like the state of Utah to us is number one. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now, just like your family is, blood's thicker than water, all that stuff. I can make fun of my family. We can make fun of Utah, or we could talk about the things that are the things that are the nasty, or whatever, the inside things that we go, I don't really like that about us. But as soon as somebody else brings it up, then you're like, okay, now we got a problem. We are the people. We will champion Utah. We love talking about Utah. We love the things that are going on in Utah that are good. In so many places it's not.
Yeah.
And there's, on a daily basis, stuff stinks and stuff is really great. And our job is to look at both of those things and say, yeah, things aren't awful, though. Everything's not dire.
I think that's right. A big part of this is keeping that optimistic outlook, which is actually something that I've learned in my job in finance, because when it's easy to look at the hard things, the bad things. It's easy to get depressed. It's easy to believe that, the future's so dark. But what I've learned in finance is how to find the opportunities. The financial world is an optimistic place by its very nature. Investing is an act of optimism. When you invest money, which is what we do every day, you are saying, I believe the future is going to be better. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And so I've been able to spend the last several years in this just naturally optimistic place. And that optimism can persist even when we have dark days, even when there are dark moments. We still can persist with that optimism and that search for the happiness. And we're definitely going to bring that.
Am I going to have your mugs looking over my shoulder for the rest of my career? By the way, Ethan, that's your high school yearbook picture. Oh, yeah. And if you tell me otherwise, I'm going to call.
There's these have been touched up. I love it. No, at some point I'm going to tear that thing down too. Because there's one out in the newsroom. I was like, well, I can't have this. I can't have our faces in the studio and out.
Yeah, good looking guys.
I'll look at it for a minute, and then after that, I move right on.
What people are going to learn is, as they get to know this show, is that I'm not only bringing my life experience to the show, I'm also bringing about 50 extra pounds than what I had before on the Inside Project.
Talk to me after the break.
That's the older part of how things have changed.
Hey, we look forward to it today at 1:00.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Hey, it's graduation season for Utah's University, and grads are having a lot of stress stepping into an uncertain future. We are going to give some advice to you that my co-host gave to her students at the college last week. Stay with us.
If your water heater's over 10 to 15 years old, congratulations. You've beat the average. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I love hearing stories of people having water heaters that are really old and they're still doing their job. Unfortunately, most of us won't be that lucky. And when water heaters fail, it's usually in spectacularly inconvenient fashion. Whether it's an unexpected cold shower when we're already running late for work, or worse yet, coming home to a flooded basement, it's never fun. If you'd like to look into replacing your water heater before it fails, Any Hour Services is having a sale for any homeowners listening. Whether you're looking for a new tanked water heater or you want to see what upgrading to a tankless would cost, the plumbers at Any Hour Services can show you what options are available. And right now, you can save $400 on a tanked water heater or $1,200 on a tankless. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services today and schedule your free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
Join KSL News Radio's Amanda Dixon this Friday from 3 to 5 at the Salt Lake NPS store at 1600 Empire Road, npsstore.com.
Higher taxes, soaring inflation, record low interest rates, and the skyrocketing cost of healthcare. The list goes on. Retiring successfully today is a lot more complicated than ever before. Learn how you can tackle the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement today. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio. It's this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL, News Radio 1027.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Support comes from Amazon Business. Unlock smart business buying with fast, free delivery on millions of items and practical AI innovations that automate repetitive tasks so you can make smarter decisions faster. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years.
I'm done with this. Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. Mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on a dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
911, tell me exactly what happened.
My son and his wife and their 2 children haven't responded.
Susan Powell disappeared on a snowy morning in 2009.
Your wife is missing, Josh.
Yeah, but
And you want to think about it for a couple of days?
The podcast, Cold, has gone deep on these kinds of stories.
I'd had this overwhelming feeling that he had done something to her already.
Clearly, something happened on that couch because he cleaned it.
Find and follow Cold wherever you get your podcasts.
Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Learn how at www.ready.gov. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources.
So while I was doing the show on Friday, my co-host was doing something I've always wanted to do, and I was jealous, although I've enjoyed doing the show. You were speaking at a graduation, a convocation at one of the colleges at the UVU, and I just thought, what a cool thing just to be asked to do. But it also got me thinking about graduation, how I felt when I graduated from high school, when I graduated from college, when I graduated from law school, that sort of, where do I go? What's my next step? Because you always know when you're in school, I have next year. I have the next year.
Next semester.
Pretty soon
I just need to plan my classes.
You don't have the next year, and then you have to get going, and you have to grow up. You have to make a living. You have to do something responsible.
Yeah, and I remember in 2008 when that graduating class headed into a recession, right? They were really worried as well. And I think it's no different this year. Grads are stressed about money.
Yeah, a new national survey finds that grads are mostly scared about finances, among other things. KSL News Radio's McKenna Rodriguez reports on that.
College students across the country responded to the Wallet Hub survey, and the biggest finding, 30% of them say their greatest fear in post-grad life is paying off their student loan debt. Not finding a job and credit card debt were close runner-ups. But while money remains the most consistent factor in young graduate stress, many say their college tuition was a worthwhile investment. Around 75% of responses said that, even with rising costs of tuition. McKenna Rodriguez, KSL News Radio.
The greatest stress is paying off your student loan. Who'd have thought? I mean, that wasn't something that was even on my radar. I mean, finding a job was big.
Yeah.
Trying to make a living.
Yeah.
And, when you graduate, so now I've got this degree. It's supposed to be something I can make money with.
Exactly, right. So, look, I know that times are uncertain. I also know that grads are worried about their potential jobs being replaced by AI, especially they just did these 4 years, or maybe they took longer, right? And now they have a degree that may become obsolete. So there's all of those things. And I did have the opportunity. I was off for 2 days on Thursday and Friday. On Thursday, we celebrated our daughter graduating from the business college at UVU. And then on Friday, I spoke at the convocation ceremony for the College of Humanities and Social Sciences. So really, really fun. And you're right. It was really an honor. And I was just delighted to be able to do that. And I will say that it's hard to condense advice to 5 minutes. And in fact, I was unsuccessful. It was closer to 8.
So tell me, before I get to my own personal story, convocation as opposed to commencement.
So commencement is for the entire student body of the entire university. That's the one big thing, right, where you have everybody comes in and you don't get awarded your individual diplomas. That's commencement. Convocation is each college will then hold their ceremony where they'll call the students up by name. They walk across the stage. They get their diploma, shake hands, get the picture. That's the convocation ceremony.
And that's what you spoke
That's what I spoke
for
at.
the College of
Humanities and Social Sciences. So that incorporates social work, psychology, anthropology, communication, which is where I graduated. I was the alumnus speaker. So, and it happened to be 10 years ago that I graduated with my bachelor's degree from Utah Valley University. So it was very fun.
Oh, so what was your message? Did you have an overarching message?
Well, yeah, sure.
Or was it just a goodwill thing?
No. So, look, I did have one, but I have to tell you. So, you know that I have a big family. I've sat through a lot of graduation speeches, and a lot of times, whether they're high school or college, a lot of times it's like, okay, it's fine, but it's not that exciting, right? So I wanted to not be so boring that people just rolled their eyes. So I asked my daughter, who's a teacher and has been to a lot, what can I do to make this not a boring speech? And she said, don't give it.
Oh, no. That's not nice.
So I told the people who were in the audience, I said, I am still going to speak, but I'm going to be short. You know, one of the things that I told the students was that the advice to follow your passion is just plain bad advice. And here's why. For one, our passions almost always change over our lifetimes, right? What you're passionate about at 20 is often different at 40 and at 60. You know, things change, and that's okay. I think number two, passion focuses on yourself while purpose focuses on other people, or it's outward focused. And three, it causes undue stress and anxiety. If you think everybody else has it figured out because they've known what their passion is from birth, you know, and of course that's not true. And of course things change. And then I said, you know, Simon Sinek, who is a leadership expert, he said passion's a result, not a starting point, and shared my own example of this job. Mentioned KSL's Inside Sources and said, look, I love it. I consider it a dream job also. It was never on my plan. It was never on a bucket list.
Tell me about it.
It was never on a goal list. It was never on anything that I had aimed for. And now that I have it, it has just been so fun.
Yeah, it is true. It is the kind of thing where you if you get out of college, or for me, law school, and think this is where I'm going to go
the rest of my life.
Yeah, it's probably not going to help you. You know, I have a lot of people tell me, and I was down at Utah Technical University a couple of weeks ago, and students were there and talking to me, and one of them came up, a group of them actually, and said, I'm thinking about going to law school, and I think I know what your advice is going to be. And I said, what do you think my advice is? And they all said, you're going to tell us not to go to law school. And I said, no. My advice is just the opposite.
Interesting.
You know, I would have no hesitation telling somebody to go to law school or medical school or business school or whatever, just to get a PhD in something. Like, never would I say that. It's a great time, and I know there's a lot going on in the country, but I think it's a great time to think ahead. And I think there's what the law is going to be like, what business community is going to be like in 10 years is really something that I look forward to that generation being able to experience.
I had a couple of other things that I told them as well. I told them, and you don't usually hear this in graduation speeches, but I told them, look, you're going to have some hard stuff in your life, right? And you're going to do stuff that you don't always love. Like, I love this job, but I don't always love all the parts of it. 4:30 in the morning is early.
Yeah.
Talking about terrible crime stories. I don't love that part, right? We need to talk about it, but I don't love it. But that's okay, right? And I also said that this is what something that I found really interesting, that we keep hearing that we live in unprecedented times, but it's not actually true. So the late Harvard political scientist Samuel P. Huntington, he called them moral convulsions and said that he found a pattern that seemed to hit the United States about every 60 years. So you had the revolutionary period of the 1760s and 1770s, Jacksonian uprising, 1820s and 30s, progressive era began in the late 1890s. Social protest movements of the 1960s. Well, if you take the late 1960s and add 60 years, well, here we are.
Yeah.
Right? It's just another time where it's a period of people feeling disgusted by the state of society, trust in institutions has plummeted, moral indignation is widespread, contempt for established powers intense. It all sounds familiar, right? So these kids, and they're not all kids. The oldest graduate from UVU was 83, right?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So they're resilient. They've lived through all of those things already. They've lived through a global pandemic. They're adaptable. They're going to have to pivot. ChatGPT's only been around for 3.5 years.
Right.
The next job around the corner hasn't even been invented yet because the tech's not there yet, but it will be.
Well, as you looked over your audience, especially the young graduates and any age graduates, I mean, what was your sense? What was your take on? I mean, did you feel like there was tension in the air, or that this is the future and the future is pretty good?
Yeah, the future's pretty good. And here's the thing, too, that I reminded them is like you can always find points of commonality with anybody. So, for example, that day they were all sharing the experience of graduation, whether they were a first-generation student, whether their family had a long history of going to college, whether they were on the 2-year plan or 4-year plan or 10-year plan, like my daughter took 10 years. I took a 30-year break, right? It doesn't matter. They had one shared experience, and their paths are different today than they were on Friday, but they can always find points of commonality and humanity. And I think that it's important to remember that there's hope.
Yeah. The commencement for the overall university didn't go forward, or how did that work? Because commencement speaker didn't.
So the commencement went forward. They just didn't have a keynote speaker. So President Jimenez spoke, and that was already part of the plan. And she had a great message about hope and joy and also not shying away from the hard stuff. She said she's been through a lot of grief. We know that in the last year. But yeah, encouraged all the students to step up and speak up, and just a really great opportunity.
Well, good for you for doing that and being a good advocate for our show and for just the future for these young people. In the next hour of Inside Sources, a he said, she said. The Middle East, Iran, and what's going on there. We never know. It changes almost every weekend. We'll talk about the latest when we come back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top story this hour, a Santaquin nurse will be sentenced today after a Provo court convicted her in the killing of her friend. Megan Sundwall was found guilty of manslaughter and obstruction of justice back in March. Prosecutors say she administered a fatal dose of insulin to her friend, leading to her death. Sundwall reportedly believed she was the beneficiary of a $1.5 million life insurance policy of her friend's, and she could face upwards of 15 years in prison. A motorcyclist has died after being hit by a car in West Jordan Sunday night. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
The crash happened at the intersection of Banquet Avenue and Cougar Lane. West Jordan Police spokesperson Officer Carpenter says they got the call just after 8 p.m. and immediately started life-saving measures on the 25-year-old rider, but he died on the scene.
Just be mindful of each other on the roadway and motorcyclists wearing their safety gear as we all just want to get where we are going safely.
It was only last week the Utah Highway Patrol issued a warning to drivers and motorcyclists. Last year, there were 72 motorcyclists killed, the highest on record. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
In a matter of hours, Box Elder County leaders are expected to vote on whether a massive proposed AI data center project will move forward. The project is backed by Shark Tank investor Kevin O'Leary, and it is getting a lot of pushback from the public over water use and environmental concerns. Project organizers have pledged to protect the environment and limit their water use. Today's meeting is scheduled to start at 4 o'clock, with the vote happening sometime after. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the markets are down. The Dow Jones is down 533 points. That's just a little over 1%. The S&P 500 is down 38 points. That's a little over 0.5%. And the NASDAQ is down 98 points. That's about minus 0.4%. Coming up, it's nearly pool weather, and we'll have some rain to fill it. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. You know, the big wireless companies say they have discounts for people over 55. But unless you're willing to sit on hold and ask, you're probably paying more than you should. At Consumer Cellular, there's nothing to hunt down. We're built for people 50 plus with plans starting at just $20. And our 100% US-based customer service actually answers the phone. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today and get your second month free for a limited time.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
A family office is a team built to handle the three biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team.
Call Trajan today, 855-TRAJAN-1. That's 855-TRAJAN-1.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
When American troops withdrew from Afghanistan in 2021, thousands of evacuees fled to the U.S. for protection. Many Americans welcomed their new neighbors.
For the last week, the governor tells me his office has been getting calls nonstop with Utahns wanting to help.
When we saw the pictures and the videos coming out of Afghanistan, we prayed to be able to help them.
But then, what happened? Listen to Stranger Becomes Neighbor, wherever you get your podcasts.
We got emergency traffic here at KSL, brought to you by UCCU. Save 4.24% on savings at UCCU.com. Here's Cormac Bone.
Right now, looking at a live shot of northbound I-15, all lanes at a complete stop, and those delays are starting at 5300 south, and it reaches all the way up to 3300 south. We've had multiple texts and reports of traffic just at a complete standstill on North 15. The cameras haven't turned quite yet to see it, although it looks like they've opened up the lanes. I'm looking at lanes starting to move near 3700 south. So hopefully those delays start to clear out soon. If your roof needs repair or replacement, do it now during S&S Roofing's huge spring sale. Flexible financing options available. Get the best value on the highest quality roofing job. Get a quote today at snsroofingutah.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today we can expect a high of 74 with a chance of thunderstorms. Temperatures are going to then drop down through the 60s in the next 2 days with some chance of rain before jumping back to a high of 79 on Friday. Right now, though, it's 72 degrees and clear. I'm Cameron Elliott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I think a lot of Americans, Holly, are really frustrated right now with what's going on with the war in Iran. First of all, we hear different versions of the same events, which is essentially what's happening with the Strait of Hormuz. And if we're looking at the screens in front of us, 3 of them have pictures literally of that region right now. And depending on which station you're watching, you get different ideas, different versions of what's happening. But one of the CNN is at least reporting that the U.S. and Iranian militaries are trading shots today.
Well, look, so over the last couple of days, I've seen conflicting stories. So one of the stories, and that's why we've got the he said, she said. One of the stories was Iran said they had shot at and hit an American ship, and the United States said, no, you didn't. And then there was another one where the U.S. said, well, we're going to escort ships through the strait. And Iran says, no, you're not.
Right.
Right. And so it's like, I just literally saw in the last 10 or 15 minutes that the U.S. is saying that they have now shot and sunk 6 little boats. Well, how does that impact the ceasefire that we have? So
yeah, I watched a story over the weekend that really troubled me, and that was that, and I don't know how much truth there is to this, but a lot of the U.S. military bases in that region have just been hammered by Iranian drones. I mean, I had no idea. You don't think or hear about that, and maybe there haven't been lives lost, but a lot of the U.S. bases are really been
well. We know that there have been a lot of injuries, and I'm seeing that too. That there's been at least 350 service members who have been injured, and most of those are brain injuries, traumatic brain injuries. But when we're looking at the Strait of Hormuz, the U.S. says that 2 American flagged ships transited through the strait in defiance of Iran.
Yeah, ABC's Sophie Burridge is in Tel Aviv telling us more about what happened.
An Iranian state media outlet claiming that they had fired twice on a U.S. military vessel in or near the Strait of Hormuz, but the U.S. military quickly out after that to deny the report, calling it false and saying, quote, "It did not happen."
That's what I'm saying, the he said, she said.
Yeah, that was Tom Sophie Burridge. I'm sorry, I missed the first name there. Yeah, another version of sort of he said, she said. You know, you're wondering, you know, is it open? Is it closed? Is it open part-time? Is it closed part-time? You know, the whole idea of
completely closed.
You know,
I don't know.
Can you pay your way through it? Can the U.S. military escort ships through there? Do they even have the wherewithal to do that? You'd have to have the whole Navy there to take the number of ships that are going through there. And what does that mean? Are the other ships going to be following U.S. military? Are their insurance companies going to let them do that? Probably not.
It's interesting. So we know the Iran Army chief said the U.S. carriers approaching Hormuz face, quote, cruise missiles and combat drones. That's reported from CNN. Iran's army commander-in-chief, Major General Amir Hatami, warned Monday that any attempt, which is today, by U.S. aircraft carriers to approach the strait would be met with force, saying Iran has deployed cruise missiles and combat drones. And look, I want to just say, I'm looking at the Associated Press. You know how they do a live update runner? They just say that the UAE, United Arab Emirates, said it came under attack by Iran for the first time since early April. That's supposed to be they're supposed to be off limits because of the ceasefire. There's a lot going on, and it doesn't sound very peaceful.
And it seems like Iran is very much in a vengeance mode right now, angry at what's happened there, unwilling to negotiate. And the U.S. is basically saying, you're not really in a position to be unwilling to negotiate. You know, we can destroy you tomorrow. Come to the table, but the Iranians are just defiant as they could be. Was it Pakistan, or there was a country that was trying to host mediation talks?
Yeah.
And they're like, come on over, and nobody would show up. They just couldn't get much done. And I know the ceasefire is over, which is why they're continuing their fire. And even Trump over the weekend said the war is over. The war in Iran is over.
Well, the reasoning behind that, because of the 60 days, right? So that he didn't want to have to go back to Congress for approval after a 60-day war, because we hit that 60 days over the weekend. The reason he said it was over is because of this ceasefire, and because they're claiming that because of the ceasefire, the time right now doesn't count. Like they stopped the clock, basically, is what they're saying. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is a BBC article, and this is from just today. This article from the BBC is really saying what you said about revenge. So they have their article is headlined, "Some Iranians fear the regime is now more entrenched and ready for revenge." So this is how they opened their article. They are still there. There is no evading the simple fact. Everywhere the people walk, wherever they drive, whenever they switch on the television, the faces of assassinated leaders and those of new rulers dominate the public space. And so they're just saying, look, I mean, they're really digging in. You know they are. And we keep hearing, of course, it's the fog of war part, and part of it is disinformation. You know, Iran saying they've got weapons, including cruise missiles and drones. The U.S. saying we've basically destroyed their arms, but they keep firing them. But Iran is not backing down. And in fact, sometimes it's like, I think you punch somebody in the face who actually does have the ability to punch you back. And you know, like Alex and Ethan were saying, you attack your own family. Well, sometimes we know that there were people who wanted a regime change, But we also know that Iran is executing protesters, people who were involved. They were hopeful that the U.S. could come in and effectuate a regime change where they could get a different government. It's basically the same government.
Right, and there was a huge miscalculation by the Russians when they invaded Ukraine. They thought 2 months in, we'll be done. They'll cave. That war is still going. There was a huge miscalculation on the part of the United States. Let's face it. They saw the protests going on in Iran. They saw the number of people that were upset. They saw an opportunity, and understandably so, because the people were upset and they were tired of being shot at while they're protesting. They thought if we take the head off the snake, the people will gather, they'll form a coalition, they'll have some form of democracy, and they'll get a new leaders in there. It didn't happen at all. Instead, they got the son of the deposed leader.
Khamenei.
Killed leader. Yeah, he's now
Khamenei,
he's now running it, and they seem to be more entrenched than ever.
And he's younger and more radical even than his dad, if you can believe it. So one of the things that the BBC did is they actually interviewed a couple there, and they were talking about the progress, and they anonymized their names, of course, I think for their own safety. But the woman of the two that they interviewed, she said there hasn't been really a change. It's fallen into the hands of the Revolutionary Guards. And she said at the beginning, I didn't really want the war to happen, but then when they were targeting key figures, I was genuinely overjoyed. But then she said that what she realized is the loss of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei and other senior figures did not usher in a new regime more amenable to change. In fact, it got worse. And she said, I am gutted right now.
Yeah, and what are they going to do?
Yeah.
But
try and survive.
Somebody's got to figure out a way out of that mess.
Try and survive. So, that's what's going on right now. He said, she said, and in fact, I told you the Associated Press said, the U.S. said they have sunk 6 Iranian boats. Okay. All right. Well, on that cheery note, next on Inside Sources, if it's not one thing with AI, it's something else. And so right now, I read a story this morning that said AI deepfakes could force risks on your bank accounts. So we're going to get new insights onto deepfakes and banking when we come back.
Searching for a better night's sleep? I would toss and turn at night. A Utah man scheduled surgery for a life-changing device.
They said that there was no prior authorization needed.
What he woke up to was a $25,000 surprise.
I got the device to sleep comfortably, and now I'm worried about a bill hanging over my head.
He was told insurance wouldn't be a problem, so what triggered the bill? I'll reveal the steps you should take to avoid a surprise denial. Thursday on KSL 5 News at 10.
For hearts that love. For hearts that care. For hearts that comfort. For hearts that heal. We care for them all. At Common Spirit Health, we know that each patient is unique. That's why our cardiology team is committed to caring for every kind of heart. Find heart care near you at mountain.commonspirit.org.
Wait, everything on this IHOP value menu is just $6?
I told you it was amazing. A huge plate of pancakes, bacon, and eggs is just $6.
Wow.
There's also French toast, a ham and cheese omelet, and they got a BLT and fries now.
Okay, we're coming here every day.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Feast for just $6 with the IHOP value menu. $7 in some locations, available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Join us at Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, our biggest trade event of the year, May 14th through the 17th. Trade in your RV and get the highest value guaranteed. Then upgrade for less with new RVs starting as low as $94 a month. Plus, take 25% off select maintenance services. Save up to 40% on camp-ready must-haves. And enter to win a new RV. Don't miss the Red, White, and New Trade event at your local Camping World, May 14th through the 17th. We'll see you there.
If you talk and they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk back here. You can do it if you try.
Any Hour Services can help unclog any drain in your house, whether you have a backup, a clog, or a slow drain you want fixed. Call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
So, you want to be a hero. Here are some ways to get the job. Hunt down that killer shark. Or run into a burning house to save a kitten. Luckily, there's an easier way to become a hero. Call 911 if you see someone experiencing the symptoms of stroke, sudden weakness on one side, or trouble speaking, walking, or seeing. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. You'll be a real hero. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness.
Really ugly clouds coming over from the north.
A place
The ridgeline is imposing, the escarpments, the drops.
where survival,
It's dark now. I have nothing.
is never certain.
This is not good.
My name's Dave Cawley, and I'm the host of a podcast called Uinta Triangle. It's about the disappearance of an Australian hiker named Eric.
Our conclusion, and that of the sheriff, is that the mountains have decided to keep him.
Come retrace Eric's footprints with me.
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
He is not the first or last person to vanish in this remote region.
It was haunting to see the photos. I mean, really.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle. That's Uinta, spelled U-I-N-T-A, Triangle, wherever you get your podcasts. All episodes out now.
If you're struggling with your mortgage, there's a free government program that offers expert one-on-one advice about your mortgage options. Call 1-888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources.
We've talked about artificial intelligence a lot on this show, Holly, and it seems like the more and more sophisticated it gets, the more and more some of us look at something and we don't know whether it's real or not. We call it deep fakes, but actually artificial intelligence it may start affecting your bank accounts. What you're hearing from your bank may not be real.
And that is incredibly troubling.
Yes.
It really is. It really is. And I saw this article in The Atlantic this morning, and of course, it caught my eye because we've talked about this so often. But it says OpenAI has made the perfect tool for scammers. So that's concerning. We have with us on the line Brandon Amaker. He's the Director of Emerging Policies Tech Lab at Utah Valley University. Shout out to UVU again. Can you tell us just why is it such a big deal that this text word thing on pictures? I don't even know really what that means, but tell us about that.
Yeah, so for a long time, for whatever reason, generative artificial intelligence has had a hard time generating convincing lettering or wording in images. It usually comes out really janky, the typeface doesn't look right, or even spelling, et cetera, will be strange, and it's just essentially gibberish. And the reason why this is significant is that it does enable the very quick kind of forging of documents, things that look very convincing. It really opens up a whole other avenue for scammers to start sending over things that will look very, very similar to legitimate communications, legitimate documents from a financial institution or from another trusted actor.
Give us an example, if you would, Brandon, about something that maybe people should be aware of, something that that might hit the man on the street as it relates to their banking and their finances.
Yeah, absolutely. So you could see this very much like you get a statement from Zions Bank or Bank of America, something like that, that looks exactly like what they have these institutions actually send out to their clients. But I use information from the internet. I can find out your name. I can find out other information about you, and I use it to fill that out and create something fake with the intention of baiting you into doing something, falling victim to a scam. But now, it's not, traditionally with these types of scams, we tell people to look out for, hey, is this coming from an unknown actor? Is this look off? Is there spelling? Is there, a URL mistake? But if you can very quickly use AI to make something that looks exactly like the legitimate communication, that's going to fool a lot more people.
So one of the things that makes me think that this could be so ripe for fraud is I already know that banks will accept deposits of checks if you just take a picture, right? And so it seems to me like that's one way that fraudsters could get to your bank account or somebody's bank account, right? Is they can create something and then deposit money into their own account.
Yeah, absolutely. You could very much see, a check fraud renaissance coming from this. And, you would hope that some of these check depositing systems have additional safeguards, including, verifying through where it's actually coming from, the application, the IP address, et cetera. But scammers are crafty, and you never know. I mean, this could definitely open up every time a technology moves forward. The potential abuses just really kind of branch out like a tree from there because they're extremely creative.
What kind of safeguards can these financial institutions and businesses do, just theoretically, to help safeguard this?
Yeah, I think we have to really start transitioning to a very, very zero trust mindset. What that means is that by default, in the past, we are usually able to trust our eyes and ears when it comes to something. A forgery, et cetera. If we take a picture of something, if we get a copy of a document that looks legitimate, that would be enough in and of itself to satisfy our kind of internal safeguards. But now I think we need to look at just also the means of where it's coming from. Is this communication coming from where it should be? Do we have additional information on who's sending this? So it's not enough to verify the content or to, see that the content looks good. We also need to verify the means of communication, the protocols, et cetera, to really get a multifaceted look at this and don't trust anything by default.
So I'm also, that was an article in The Atlantic that caught my eye originally, but there's also an article from Deloitte.com, and they start off with a story that in January 2024, so already 2 years ago, an employee at a Hong Kong-based firm sent $25 million to fraudsters after being instructed to do so by her chief financial officer on a video call that included other colleagues, except they were all deep fakes.
Oh, my word.
That's wild to me, right? And you've got this generative AI, and they're making it a lot easier and cheaper for the fraudsters to pull off stuff like this. So I appreciate your comment about being skeptical. I certainly have become a lot more skeptical. But what else? What can people do to really protect their bank accounts, for example?
Yeah. So, to speak to the first point of that, my students have been able to generate deep fakes with free software on a laptop in a weekend that will trick, upwards of 70% of people.
Wow.
It's really, really easy to do. And I think, once again, we're reaching a point where digital security is no longer an annoyance. It's no longer something that should be viewed as optional. It is paramount. So it's stuff that's going to sound like rote or, repetitive, but having a strong password, using a password manager, the reward for an individual there is huge. Multi-factor authentication too. I know it's annoying, but I'm telling you, the idea here is that if you can make yourself a hard target, oftentimes these individuals will move on to someone else. Because what they're looking for is for somebody that they can extract value from, that is going to be easy to get into their accounts and use them. So make it as difficult as possible for them to break into your accounts, and the vast majority of the time they'll move on.
Do you think that our banks and other financial institutions are on top of this and that they're doing what they can right now to prevent this, or do they think it's sort of a let the buyer beware attitude?
It varies from institution to institution, but I think a lot of financial institutions right now just don't even really know where this is going. Once again, this is a capability, right? This is not a specific scheme that is emerging that you can react to in a very linear way. This is something that is kind of opening a Pandora's box of possibilities for new ways for there to be abuse. So are financial institutions aware of it, and are they taking action? Yes, but are they going to be able to mitigate absolutely every possibility when it comes to how this could be used to, either defraud them or their customers? No. So I think the responsibility right now is pretty diffuse. It spreads out between both the user at the end and the institution, but both should very much be aware of what's going on here.
I'm wondering if you could speak really briefly to the work that you're doing down there at UVU. How are you helping students head into an AI world?
Yeah. Well, something that we really try to lean into is understanding that capability is a wonderful thing and that students should be very aware of what these models are capable of and what they can do. But you also have to understand their limitations and potential abuses whenever a technology is adopted. So with our students, we really lean into, hey, we're going to teach you how this works. We're going to teach you where it's useful, where it can be dangerous, and also how does it actually work? Where are those pitfalls and those limitations? And then we have them go to work on seeing, hey, if we were bad guys, let's adopt this adversarial mindset and think about how this could potentially be abused. And let's study the implications of that so that we can provide policymakers with not just an opportunity to be reactive when something does go wrong, but an opportunity to be proactive and actually get in front of some of these problems before they've completely materialized.
All right. That was Brandon Amaker, director of the Emerging Policy Tech Lab at the Utah Valley University, joining us this morning. And Holly, we have an artificial intelligence segment every week, at least on this show.
More than one.
And it's going in so many different directions: the good, the great, the bad, the awful. What are we learning? Now deep fakes from our bank accounts.
I have to be reminded that there is good from AI, right? And some of that has to do with like family history and genealogy, but there's so many stories coming out about problems with it, and some of them are so concerning, right? This is concerning for me, right? If somebody could go into my bank account because I gave them access because they did something that looked legit and then empty it out, well, first of all, they wouldn't get that much, but second of all, they shouldn't be able to get anything.
Well, and it goes overseas, so it's gone.
Oh, yeah,
it's not
then
like
it's
you're going to
gone.
sue somebody and get it back.
Yeah, then it's gone. All right. So up next on Inside Sources, we know that Utah has become known for this whole Disagree Better movement that Governor Cox spearheaded. But recent comments from him and some backlash over his new book from Utahns has me wondering if we ever really will disagree better. We have more on that when we come back.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top national story this hour from ABC News. Tens of thousands of Spirit airline passengers say they were left in the lurch over the weekend after the airline announced its sudden closure Friday, trapping many without a way to get home.
Essentially, what had to happen there is once that Spirit Airlines got the final word that they were not going to get a bailout, there was no help coming from the government. They were forced to get their order to wind down, and that meant immediately. So essentially that last flight took off Saturday to Dallas. Everyone else, you were on your own.
That was ABC's Rena Roy. Other national stories KSL is following the Supreme Court's decision to disallow race as a consideration when withdrawing congressional maps, the bar has been raised for challenging present and future violations of the Voting Rights Act in weeks and months leading up to this November's midterm elections, with several southern states potentially moving to eliminate majority black districts over the coming months. ABC News political director Avery Harper has more.
I think the big picture here really is that redistricting is no longer going to be something that we only talk about once every 10 years after the census. This is going to be something that is going to be an ongoing legal and political battle, which means that these battlefields in terms of the midterms are going to be shifting way later into the cycle than we expected.
Taking a look at your money at this moment, the markets are down across the board. The Dow Jones is down 391 points. That's 0.79%. The S&P 500 is down 22 points. That's 0.3%. And the NASDAQ is down 37 points. That's 0.15%. Coming up, May showers bring May flowers. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Is the volatility of the stock market driving you crazy? Is your retirement account sinking, yet you're getting older and you're starting to worry about, will I have enough for retirement? What about the money in the bank? These banks pay nothing these days. How do we get growth to get to retirement account? It's simple. Move into gold and silver. Want to know how to do it? Listen to my show, Striking Gold, with me, Kenny Michaels.
Now on Saturday at 5 p.m.
Have you ever looked in the mirror and just didn't feel like yourself anymore? Maybe your clothes didn't fit the way they used to, or you don't like how you look in them. Honestly, it's more than that. It's how you feel walking into a room, avoiding photos, skipping events, not feeling as confident at work or even with your spouse. Over time, that starts to wear on you. But here's the truth. Losing weight is one thing. Feeling confident again and keeping it off, that's what really matters. At SLC Fat Loss, we help people lose 20 to 40 pounds naturally in about 60 days without injections, crazy workouts, or prepackaged meals. More importantly, we show you how to keep the weight off so you can feel comfortable in your clothes, confident going out, and actually like what you see in the mirror again.
I'm Maria Chaleos. I've not only lost more than 40 pounds, I've been given the resources to keep the weight off for good. SLCFatLoss.com.
Many clients lose 20 to 40 pounds in about 60 days. Schedule a free weight loss consultation and start to feel confident again. Go to SLCFatLoss.com. That's SLCFatLoss.com. Results may vary.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-771-1300. That's 800-771-1300.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Here's Cormac Bone.
Well, the delays that we had on I-15 northbound in Murray have cleared off the road. It was emergency maintenance, so they opened it up quick and the delays followed suit. So I-15, once again, a clean and clear drive between Ogden and Provo. We do have some light delays where you'd usually see them eastbound on the 201 freeway in Magna at 8400 west. And in Lehigh, it's 2100 north right now, seeing heavier delays scattered eastbound from Redwood Road over to I-15, but Pioneer Crossing looking much lighter. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, we're going to have some rain on the way today with potential thunderstorms and a high of 74 before temperatures drop into the 60s for Tuesday and Wednesday with rain accompanying. And then things are going to heat up quick with a high of 79 degrees on Friday. Right now, though, it's 72 degrees in Fair downtown. I'm Cameron Elliott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
You know, our own Governor Spencer Cox has for some time been the face, really, Holly, of this notion of disagreeing better. And He's talked about it numerous times. He's received a lot of national attention for that. He's really been... he has a calming voice, he has a calming manner, he has a calming demeanor, and it was just interesting to watch how he had worked that so hard. And then he says this at a recent monthly news conference.
We've let the people against virtually everything destroy our country, destroy our industrial base, destroy our mining base, destroy our housing base, because we can't build anything in this country anymore. And those days are over. We're done with that. We take feedback. We understand what people want. We say no to many, many things because there is good feedback, but we can't say no to everything.
I was really shocked, actually, to hear the governor use what I consider confrontational language at the kindest, right? I mean, if you think about Governor Cox has promoted disagreeing better for a long time. Before he was even governor, right, he came out after the Pulse nightclub shooting in Florida and spoke about how we need to not use political violence, how we need to come together. He apologized for previous attitudes that he had held towards the LGBTQ community. And then when he became the governor and he became the chair of the National Governors Association, that whole year that he was the chair, he focused on disagreeing better. And one of the things that he said over and over and over is, you can disagree on policy, and we do vigorously, but that doesn't mean that we are disrespectful. But I would say saying that people are responsible for destroying this nation feels pretty disrespectful.
Yeah, and you wonder. I mean, a lot there aren't any disagree better leaders right now. It seems like we're having there certainly
are movements and there are organizations.
Sure, absolutely. But it just seems like we're getting away from that, and so you need a beacon like Governor Cox. You need people like him that will stand up and do that. So it's been. And a lot of this is in response to the Box Elder County Data Center, what's happening there. But a lot of other things have happened too prior to that, where he seems to be drifting back and forth and wondering, is he the beacon of reason with President Trump, or is he the following what President Trump offers? We have leaders in this state who've taken similar positions, and I have to say that they've done a good job generally. I mean, Utah is seen as sort of a disagree better state. It's just this. Sometimes you listen to the rhetoric and then you think, is that even the same person who's talking?
Yeah, and that's why it's so confusing, right? So if you remember, after the Charlie Kirk assassination in September, he really, I think it was a moment for him where he hit the national stage saying, look, we can disagree, but we don't need to rise to this level. And, that's the whole part of the better. We can disagree better without the name calling. So I'm going to name some organizations who are out there trying to promote this message. The Dignity Index, for example, and the Braver Angels. And there actually is an organization called Disagree Better. And they're all working on this idea of we need to ratchet down the contempt and the disrespect for people who hold different opinions than we do. But I still am feeling a little gobsmacked that he would come out and say that.
Well, now we're hearing that the King's English bookstore just canceled a signature promotion for Governor Cox's new books because their shopper spoke out against the move, that they had an event for him. I mean, it's his book. He's the governor. You'd expect to be a huge thing, and they've canceled it.
Yeah, they were doing a promotion where any customer who pre-ordered the governor's book, which is literally titled "Off Ramp: How to Be a Peacemaker in an Age of Contempt," that any customer who pre-ordered it could get a signed copy, and then that they would also donate up to $500 to Operation Literacy. And this is all information. This is coming from the Salt Lake Tribune, but you can find this information online as well on Instagram, especially. But the community is just like, hey, how are you promoting somebody who signed into law a bill making it easier for schools to ban books? So we've banned 34 titles in Utah so far. How is it that you are promoting something by somebody who just said these words, right? And so the bookstore responded.
Yeah, I mean, and that's tragic as well. I mean, because I'm sure it would have been good for them, but they've stood up and said, this is not what our customers want. And the King's English has been around probably as long
50,
as I have. Yeah,
I think it's 50-something years.
They've been in business for a long time, and they're very well known. But standing up and making a point, I think, is important. And they just they're just not going to let that occur at their store, and because it's not something that their customers want.
So some people. Does that mean Disagree Better is out of fashion? And I will just say, look, I've seen pushback from the right on Disagree Better. I've seen pushback from the left as well. And the pushback generally centers on, do you mean disagree better as long as you agree with me really? Or do you actually mean, can we disagree even if we don't come together on these issues at all? And I'll say the governor keeps promoting. In fact, he just wrote an op-ed with Governor Wes Moore from Maryland, who's a Democrat. So he's still promoting this movement. And I just feel like it's really unfortunate that I feel like it was very disrespectful to label people who have concerns about a data center that they just found out about as people who are destroying our country. I don't agree with that, and I don't feel like that was in line with his desire to disagree better.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people just want some dialogue about it, and maybe and have a meeting. If they were kind of had that shoved down their throats, I think a lot of people would take that position that that data center is just, it's been bought, signed, sealed, and delivered, and let's just get it going. But some of the people are going, well, wait a minute, we should have at least talked about this. And then for him to criticize that, I think surprised people. It certainly surprised me.
Yeah, it surprised me too, and it surprised me that the tone felt so sharp, right? And I don't know what's going to happen with the data center. I told you I expect that the Box Elder County Commission will probably approve it today. I expect that they will, but it's fair to hear people's concerns, and I just, if your whole thing is we need to be able to disagree better, that means you need to be able to disagree better with people who are protesting something that you think is really important.
Yeah. So anyway, our own Governor Cox, sort of the beacon for disagree better, is now being excluded from a bookstore that was promoting a signing of his own book. And I forget the name of it, but it had a disagree better.
It's Off-Ramp.
Off-Ramp, yeah. Theme to it. I don't know.
How to be a peacemaker in an age of contempt, but it's
Right.
taking the off-ramp. So, I don't know. I don't know if the governor will have a follow-up to those comments, and that was asked at his monthly press conference. So just the media were there and asking questions, and that's what came up. He wants this project to go forward. I think that's very clear, and he was clearly passionate about disagreeing with the people who have more heartburn about it.
Yeah, I think he's overall been a good governor. I supported him the two times he ran, and I was thinking that he wasn't going to run again, and so he was in a perfect position to keep this cause. So I don't know, maybe he's got some other agenda. Maybe there's something going on that we don't know about.
Well, I don't know about it either. All right, coming up on Inside Sources, do you believe in fairies?
No.
Well, some University of Utah researchers are looking into some kinds of psychedelic drugs that have users seeing whimsical little fairies. And I'm like, a what?
Yeah.
You're researching that? All right, we're going to talk about that when we come back. And closing arguments.
I didn't realize how bad my windows were until I replaced them. You think your house is fine, and then you sit by a new high-performance window, and suddenly you're not freezing in the winter or baking in the summer. Peach Windows and Doors showed me the difference between builder-grade windows and real performance windows. The glass packages, the seals, the insulation, it's not even close. And here's the part I love. It completely changes the look of the house. Cleaner lines, bigger glass, more light. It instantly feels upgraded. Whether you're building $1 million home or you want yours to look like one, windows matter more than you think. Lower energy bills, more comfort, massive curb appeal. Go see the difference for yourself at peachdoorsandwindows.com or visit their showroom. Trust me, once you see the difference, you can't unsee it. peachdoorsandwindows.com.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
Hey, Mammoth fans, the 2026-27 season tickets are on sale now. Be there for every goal, every hit, and every moment of the next season. Season ticket members get the best seats, the best value, and exclusive perks all season long. Call or text 801-325-PUCK. That's 801-325-PUCK to reserve your seats today. Don't miss a moment next season. Tusks up.
Since 1947, Whipple Service Champions has been Utah's most trusted name for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services. Got a high-priced repair bill from another company and you're just not sure about it? Call Whipple. Get a free, no-pressure estimate or bring us their quote for an honest second opinion. Totally free. Whipple Service Champions, Utah's first place for second opinions since 1947. Call 385-273-7167 for your free estimate today. 385-273-7167.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a gripping new 9-part investigative podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of, Warren Forrest, a sadistic predator who prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He hid behind the deeds of Ted Bundy, and he's only been convicted of 2 murders, but is suspected of many more. Since the release of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a witness identified in the podcast could lead investigators to the remains of Jamie Grissom.
He ran into the woods. He said he stumbled. As he fell down, he looks up and sees the body of a young woman.
And now the FBI is testing forensic evidence that had been collecting dust for decades. This cold case is now red hot. Binge the entire season of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley right now, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the latest breaking news.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Tech Legion makes technology simple for businesses of any size. Acting as a fractional CTO, managing licenses, ensuring compliance, and providing IT support so businesses can focus on growth. Sales Director Lee Weech joins us with more.
Are IT issues keeping you up at night? You're really not alone. Maybe your systems are not reliable. Maybe you're worried about a security breach, a compliance violation, or just no one on your team is really owning your IT department. That uncertainty is costly, and it doesn't have to be that way. At Tech Legion, we carry that burden for you. We can become your IT department if you want, or plug directly into the team you already have, providing enterprise-level expertise without the enterprise-level price tag. From day-to-day support to advanced technology strategy, we handle it all so you don't really have to. We manage licensing, security, compliance, and everything in between across all industries and for organizations of any size. Businesses should be free to focus on their growth instead of battling their technology. Let us handle your tech so your team can focus on what they do best. Learn more at techlegion.com.
Businesses like Tech Legion benefit Utah by helping companies run efficiently and securely. Through tech leadership, compliance expertise, and IT support, they empower local businesses to grow, innovate, and create jobs statewide. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Inside Sources.
All right, Greg. This is not a dream, but imagine seeing dozens of energetic little people, just inches tall, dressed in brightly colored clothes, jumping and climbing around in an otherwise undistorted world, all because you ate an undercooked mushroom.
So I can see that happening to a person or two, but apparently that's a continuing phenomenon to a response to a particular mushroom.
A particular mushroom causes fairy tale-like hallucinations. So first of all, I would never know this. Second of all, unless it was accidental, I guess. Second of all, the fact that you can research it is really interesting to me. So it's the focus of Colin Domneyer's doctoral research at the University of Utah's Dettinger Lab, which is a mycology lab, which I think means mushroom, based in the Natural History Museum of Utah. He's one of only 2, his exploration, it's only one of 2 labs happening worldwide to look at this particular mushrooms. So it's a red-stemmed, brown-capped mushroom with a fancy Latin name, Lanmoa asiatica. But, I mean, it makes you see fairies. And
So you wonder if there's something in the mind that is triggered that would make you see fairy. I mean, that's a phenomenon I can't even comprehend. That you get a specific reaction like that to a specific drug, and that it happens to several people.
Well, it's so interesting. So, look, apparently the mushrooms are delicious. But it is a common occurrence that they see whimsical little fairies always dressed colorfully. That is so interesting, right? And it can be dozens or hundreds of little people, and that they're in the environment. They're not like some closed-eyed hallucination. They're climbing up chairs and tables. And this is from the researcher, right? So he said that he tried these mushrooms at a hot pot style restaurant in China where they're a common food. He found them delicious, and they said they put it in the boiling soup. They put a timer on the table. They set it for 15 minutes, and they said, don't eat it until the timer goes off or you might start seeing little people. So he did wait the 15 minutes, but that is so interesting. And the hallucinations can last for days.
Maybe it's not such a bad thing. I mean,
Oh,
it might be good medicine for some people who are seeing other bad things.
That's
in
what
their
he's
life.
researching
Right,
to see
yeah.
if there's actually a medical application that can be used with this is a different psychedelic, right? But it's like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So that was a story that caught my eye. Whimsical Little Fairies. All right, here's another one. So this one was by KSL, and this one is really cute. It was this is a nonprofit organization called Special Dollivery, meaning like they're delivering dolls.
Okay.
Yes. So it started by a Layton resident in 2012. So it started by Susan Robinson. And she would give American Girl dolls to children in vulnerable home environments. So American Girl dolls are actually very pricey. I always bought the knockoffs at Walmart. Sorry. But not sorry. What this organization does is they will take American Girl dolls and fix them up, right? So give them love after they've been used and then hand them out to kids who need them.
That's cool.
It is very cool.
Doll livery.
Doll livery.
How clever.
Yeah. So the organization now is under other supervision. She has retired from that organization, but she gave away over 3,000 dolls before handing the reins over. So it's just really fun, right? And I have somebody who moved into my neighborhood. No joke. I was chatting with her at a community event, and I was, you ask, well, what do you do? Her entire business model, and she's older than you. Her entire business model is to sew custom clothing for American Girl dolls, for 18-inch dolls. And it allowed them to buy a larger home. In fact, she told us they had to move out of a home in Alpine because they didn't have room for her fabric and her dolls and the sewing that she did. So it's really, really successful. So these American Girl dolls. Anyway, so over the next few weeks, Special Dollivery is going to be giving out another 125 dolls from everywhere from the Springfield Children's Library to a Native American summer school program in the Alpine School District
What a cool
and
idea.
in Cedar City.
Good for them. That's wonderful.
I love hearing good stories, happy stories, because so much of what we talk about is less than happy. Okay, it's May 4th. We already know it's Star Wars Day, but I also have some fun facts of things that
I
happened.
think it's interesting why it's Star Wars Day, because I never knew this until today. May the 4th be with you. May 4th. Okay.
Instead of like force.
I just learned so many cool things with you.
Oh my gosh.
Now I know why Star Wars Day is May 4th.
May the 4th. It's also Senator Todd Weiler's birthday, so there's got to be some kind of Jedi joke in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. So on this day in 1776, so of course we know that year, Rhode Island became the first colony to declare its independence from England. I bet you didn't know that it was Rhode Island.
I did not know that. Yeah, Rhode Island was the first.
They led the way. It was not New York or Virginia. Okay, in 1922, Eugenie Clark was born. She was an ichthyologist known for her research on shark behavior and her study of fish in the order, well, whatever. It's the really long name to mean sharks. She was popularly known as the Shark Lady. So over 100 years ago.
What is sharks?
She's an ichthyologist.
That's right.
Okay, so I asked you this earlier. You are familiar with the term gaslight?
Yes.
Where you try to convince somebody that what they saw wasn't what they saw.
Right. Your lying eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that term actually came from a movie called Gaslight with Angela Lansbury, who starred in it. It debuted on this day in 1944. Angela Lansbury was only 18 at the time. But it was really kind of terrifying. And then it ended, the word gaslighting ended up in our lexicon, right? So I think that was really interesting. This is an education story that's not as happy. So 1970, the National Guard, it was on the state that 4 students were killed and 9 were wounded by the National Guard at Kent State. Speaking of protesting.
4 dead in Ohio, a famous song by Crosby, Stills & Nash.
Yeah. In 1979, Margaret Thatcher became the first woman to be elected Prime Minister of the UK, so that was really great.
She left a big footprint. I mean, she was
did,
very
the
impressive.
Iron Lady.
I really liked her. She was great.
She was great friends with Ronald Reagan, right? They had very, very similar
economic views,
political philosophies,
right,
economic views, And then on this day in 1998, a federal judge in Sacramento gave the Unabomber 4 life sentences plus 30 years after he accepted a plea agreement that spared him from the death penalty, all on May 4th.
I think that we should consider more and I'm not going to get off on the death penalty here. This is not my closing argument. More things like that where you can interview that person 20, 30, 40 years from now and find out what makes them tick instead of, I mean, wouldn't it be interesting to talk to Ted Bundy? Of course, he was such a fraudster. I don't know that he ever would have been anything other than just
He
a
did
con.
give interviews, death row interviews before he was executed. But yeah, and people are like, well, we don't really know how much is true. All right, closing arguments from you. What you got?
Well, this afternoon in Box Elder County at the Box Elder County Fairgrounds, the Box Elder County Commission, who I think, if I've looked it up, is composed of 3 men, are going to make a decision that is going to be monumental for the people of Box Elder County and maybe for the state of Utah, maybe for the planet in some respects. There's a $40,000 data center, 40,000 acre, much more expensive than 40,000 acre data center that's going to be built there. It's an important thing. We need a data center, and I think Utah is a good place for that, and Box Elder County may very well be a good place for that. But this project is so big and has happened in such short order that it behooves everyone, including the county commission, to take a step back, because I don't know that a decision needs to be made today. Maybe it will be. Maybe they've already made up their mind. Certainly Governor Cox has jumped in and said, hey, what's holding this up? We can't get anything done in this country anymore because of the red tape and whatnot. But I don't know that a public comment period is red tape, and that's not what we're talking about anyway with the red tape. I mean, this is something that the people of that county and the state of Utah have every right to voice their opinion on, whether it's right or wrong. And I'm not saying that the data center is a good thing or a bad thing, but I do think that commentary, that notion that we can talk about it, that we can have hearings, that we can protest. And I'm glad they're doing it at the fairgrounds because it's different than the Box Elder County conference center, where the commission meets, which is a very small facility. So good for them. And I hope that they have the hearing today, and maybe if they're listening, I know some of the commissioners are good men, take a step back and maybe have another hearing, maybe do a little more follow-up, because this is such a huge project that will actually triple the state's energy needs. I mean, it's double what we currently take. It's just huge. Anyway, that's just it. Another small business in the Sugar House area of Salt Lake City is closing up shop. Sad to hear. Utah